It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Cork the Kid.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom. From movies, comics, TV shows, video games, we got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. And Court, we're in our prestige TV bag this week.
Yep. I can't wait. We're talking about Daredevil.
No. Not this time.
Okay. Not next time, baby.
Maybe we'll get to Daredevil one of these days, but it will not be this week.
Because?
Yeah. We're going to talk about Shogun, a show that we had been hearing about for a while over the last couple of months, and then we finally circled back to it, and it did not disappoint, for lack of a better word. It was everything that people said it was, and then some, in my opinion. I think people undersold it, to be honest with you. This is one of the best TV shows I've seen ever.
It's tough to be hyperbolic, or not to sound hyperbolic, I should say, in situations like this. You know, recency bias, all those things that people want to say. But you know, I feel like we're in a world now where when you see something, you better just say what you think it is at this point. Don't care what anybody thinks, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. This is prestige TV. This is memorable TV. This is I think this is just one of the greatest shows that's ever been made. It is incredible. It will just be one season, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I think it's going to go into like one of those, like that, like how Watchmen was.
Yep.
We've kind of like talked about Watchmen like as a, like this thing, like this ethereal thing. Mm-hmm. Like we haven't circled back around to and like actually properly talked about, but like that was like a thing when it came out. And then it just kind of like evaporated into the ether, like, and now it's like this mythical like thing that, you know, a lot of shows to this day still haven't, you know, eclipsed or reached, and I think Shogun's gonna be like the same type of deal. Like, I think people will be chasing this for a long time, and I'm not sure how many will be able to replicate it because it's a special experience.
Right.
And so we'll talk about that. That's going to be our main topic this week, but we do have quite a bit of news. I guess starting with a couple of trailers that we got. First and foremost, the Acolyte. We got a finally first proper trailer for on Star Wars Day, May 4th, past this week. And yeah, I mean, it invokes a lot of the same feelings that the teaser trailer invoked for me. Just, it looks super interesting. I love the uniqueness of the choreography in particular. I'm glad we're kind of doing more martial artsy stuff in Star Wars instead of just lightsaber fighting. I think that's pretty cool and pretty unique. Like, we're seeing a lot of you know, I think Obi-Wan and Ahsoka did this really well, like just unique uses of the Force that we're not used to. I think we're going to get in this show too, and I'm intrigued. That's all I can say.
I'm very intrigued. The show looks very technically sound, I must say. And you know, I had some issues with Ahsoka about how technically sound that show was at times. It felt borderline fake, for lack of, and I know what type of universe this is. I know what you're trying to do, but this one has a little bit more depth. You know, again, I don't want to.
Well, it's practical, right?
Right. A lot of this stuff they shot, a lot of the things that they were going after, and you can tell. I mean, down to what I believe are some interesting lens choices too. Like, this feels like something that's more real, some more thought out. You can tell that the studio probably said, you know, we're going to give you a lot of leeway. The creators of the show, we're going to give you a lot of leeway and a lot of budget for something like this. Make it count. And I mean, over the last couple of years, I always talk about this. So it doesn't matter the thing you're doing; it matters who the people that are doing it. And you know, I don't care if you give me a $300 million budget or if you give me a $10 million budget. That $10 million movie, a lot of the times these days, are looking better than that $300 million movie. So, you know, if that's what counts, you get a show like Andor, you know, the budget isn't the same scale as something like Ahsoka or Obi-Wan, but, you know, the creators on that show were fully realizing an idea. And I think that's what this show needs to play on, is this story needs to be airtight. It needs to be airtight, but there could be a level of ambiguity. I think that's something that Star Wars uses to its advantage. I'm looking forward to this, just getting some Prime Jedi. You know, we're gonna get, not the first Sith, obviously, but the Sith are back. You're the Sith from Star Wars, aren't you?
Yeah, it's the reemergence of the Sith, like the rise of really like the Shadow Legion are kind of like what the Sith are like historically. So we're gonna see the rise of that, and
surely they can't take over all these Jedi, right?
Right. It's a unique story. I hope, my hope for this show and my fear for it is like, are they going to give us that character, right? Mm-hmm. Like, are they going to give us that character that we can attach to it and remember it for? Because, to be fair, like, Star Wars is really built upon their character, right? Like their characters, right? Throughout history of Star Wars, they're
from
built
77 till right this second. That's what drives Star Wars.
Yeah, like
drives good Star Wars.
Yeah, so the story could be as sound as you want it to be, but if you don't have that memorable character, then it might not work.
And this is where you have to do it the most out of anything because we're unfamiliar with this. That's why a story like the Jedi games on all those Jedi games, or the two of them are so sought after stories. And I always say the best part about those games aren't any of the tech specs, it isn't the mechanics. It's both those stories are super intriguing, and I think this is where a show like this can either falter or really flourish. So.
Yeah, and it just goes back to like our conversation that we had about Fallout, where the world could have been as cool as you could have wanted it to, but the show wouldn't have worked without Maximus, without Lucy, without Cooper Howard. Like, without those three, like, Fallout probably doesn't work.
Right.
And I think the Acolyte needs to do the same thing. Like, it needs characters, and that was the one thing I feel like didn't jump out to me in this trailer quite as much. Like, I feel like a lot of this trailer was like aesthetics and a lot of it was like visual, which is great, but I didn't really feel a character leap out to me, and that's where I was just like, I don't know. So we'll see. We're definitely going to check it out and watch it, so looking forward to it.
And a jam-packed month of June that we're about to get, and I can
goodness gracious,
right us into our next trailer that we're
The Boys
about.
Yes,
The Boys are back in town.
The Boys are back, season 4. And I mean, what more can you say at this point about this show, about these characters? This
is like Amazon Prime's like flagship show, that
in a stable that's becoming pretty vast.
Yeah, I mean,
to be
Amazon
honest.
Prime, and we were having this conversation a couple weeks ago off air. We were just talking about Amazon Prime's really becoming an absolute juggernaut. It's just because I don't know if you feel the same way. I just feel like their budget's so high where they can kind of like, but their budget's high, but they let the people do what they have to do. I feel like there's no, like, whoever the heads at Amazon are, they're like, I don't care what you guys do. Like, do whatever you want. Like, I feel, Netflix is obviously, they're the culprits the most. And Netflix and Disney are the two culprits of this, of being like, we're gonna, give what we can give, and we're gonna take whatever we can take. Like, I feel like Amazon's like, we can't be. What in the Fallout trailer? What did it say from the studio that bought you 2-day shipping? Like, that's what we're worried about. Like, we're gonna give you money, just do whatever you want. I feel like that's where Amazon's really, really catching their stride. And
to be fair, it's because The Boys was like the first thing, and it's unhinged, it's insane, and they were like, well, that worked, so we'll just let everyone do whatever they want. As long as it works, and it's point proven. Invincible and Fallout both prove that.
I'll throw in even something that's not a franchise, but it was IP. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, you let somebody as talented as Donald Glover do let them do whatever they want, and it's working. It keeps on working for them. Yeah,
and then I mean Gen V also. Like we talked about Gen V when it came out.
Well, that's where you get those diamonds in the rough, and I'll never forget I believe Invincible was coming out, or was there a Star Wars show that was coming out when Gen V was coming out?
I think, was it, might have been Ahsoka, right?
I think it was the end of Ahsoka, and I remember I was getting up in the morning to watch, and I was like, I'm watching Gen V first. Like, once it hit the 3rd episode of that, I'm like, I'm way more invested in Gen V.
And we do see a couple of Gen V characters in this trailer. Kate and Sam are in this trailer. We knew that, obviously, the showrunners have basically said that Gen V is The Boys season 3.5, and it feels that way, but also we talked about a lot how the characters in that show worked so well. So I'm really curious to see how whoever translates over is going to be integrated into this season of The Boys. Right.
I'd be remiss not to say that they did come out and say that Chance Perdomo's role won't be recast, which rightfully so.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, if you didn't watch Gen V, I mean, the plot of Boys season 4 revolves a lot around Butcher getting the soup killer virus. He's got his hands on it, so it seems, we got at the end of The Boys season 3 that Butcher is officially on the clock.
Yeah.
So is this the one? Is this the season where he finally gets Homelander?
Well, I don't think it's this season. I think it's next season, and it will be the final season. The only reason I don't think this show has ended is because of how popular it is. I think that's the only reason this show isn't over.
Yeah, let's see. It'd just be interesting, if Homelander does escape this season, like how does he keep doing it?
Right.
More or less. So we'll see. Jeffrey Dean Morgan's going to be in this season in still a role that we don't quite know what it is, even though we've seen him on screen. And then all your favorites are back, basically. And
not only all your favorite characters, all your favorite themes are back too.
Yeah.
And this one, obviously this one is going to be election related. This one's going to be I can't wait for people to call this show woke. And I was like, this show is built upon that fact, if that's what your thought process is.
Yeah. And it seems like this direction, for Homelander is going to be like, we're done being the heroes. We're done. He's really taking that monologue that he gave.
Yeah.
That was season 3, right? That monologue when the speech,
right,
where he's just like, I'm better.
I'm done.
I'm better than all of you. Like,
right.
That, and it seems like he's enacting that with
and
the
now
7.
Infecting it into the 7 as well, which has 2 new members in the 7. Black Noir is also back, which I have my theory on now, and that's probably also just Homelander, or it's Soldier Boy himself, or it's Jensen Ackles.
That would be kind of crazy. Yeah, that'd be a really kind of neat, like a neat bit of twist if it was Soldier Boy, given all the hell that he put original Black Noir through. So for him to become that would be kind of
I
interesting.
think it would be a bit more poetic too, because spoilers for the comics, but the way the Boys comic ends is that Black Noir kills Homelander, and you find out that Black Noir is a clone of Homelander, which I thought was gonna, and they still could do that. I think that's still a huge possibility. It's probably a major thing they could do, but I do have a little inkling that they're not just gonna leave Jensen Ackles out of this. They could,
and they shouldn't. He was, he arguably stole the season in season 3. So, we'll see for sure. Man, Fantastic Four. So just a triple barrel of casting happened. We thought it was going to be a double barrel of casting, and then they came over and they dunked over the top of us right before we hopped on. So we'll get the first 2 not out of the way, because they are pretty important. So Paul Walter Hauser and John Malkovich. The John Malkovich.
Yep, you're John Malkovich from
Becoming John Malkovich.
Yeah, there it is.
They have both been casted in unknown roles. The conventional wisdom, which is a bit of typecasting in my opinion, is that people think Paul Walter Hauser is going to be Mole Man because he may or may not look like a mole man.
Here's my thing, right? Make him Dr. Doom if you're really if you want to do that. Make him Dr. Doom.
I think the Mole Man thing is probably a pretty good call. All kidding aside,
I just think it's a good first villain of the week type of before they get to Galactus. Like, what it will do too is it'll kind of show like the Fantastic Four do this. Like they do this for a living already.
Yeah,
we don't have to go about intros or origins. No. They do
first like 10 minutes of the movie open and Mole Man's like like running away, and then he gets like stretchy armed. Yep. Or he gets trapped in like an invisible bubble or something like that.
Introduce you to the world as well. This retro futuristic 1960s New York apparently is what it's supposed to be.
So that's probably what that'll be. The John Malkovich one is a little more interesting.
I don't think it's interesting at all. I don't think he's playing anybody of note. I genuinely do not think he's playing anybody of note.
I think that would be cool.
I think he's playing the doorman. I think he's just going to play the doorman at the Baxter Building. That's it.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. Yeah, I'd be all for that. And then, before we hopped on... Seconds before we hopped on to record this, like I said, Marvel came over the top of us, and it felt like weird, right? Because like the John Malkovich thing was like announced by Deadline, and like this was like a whoa, John Malkovich is in the Fantastic Four, and then Variety said hold my beer. We got the real Marvel scoop, and that is Ralph Ineson has been cast as Galactus.
Nice.
Great, You know what this invokes to me? And it kind of invokes like the idea of like what the Fantastic Four should be for the MCU. It reminds me of those early days of Marvel, of the MCU, where we talked about this, where it was like Chris Hemsworth is Thor, and you're like, who? Like, what? You know? And that's I've been dying for them to get back to that idea of casting someone that, you know, Ralph Ineson's been
to you know Ralph Ineson.
Oh yeah, Ralph Ineson had a great year in my eyes as Sid in Final Fantasy 16, but he's always been in like his film career have been kind of like he's been like that guy, right? Where like you're like that guy, like I recognize that guy. And he's got
I told you when I looked at the picture, I said that guy looks kind of familiar.
He's got a very recognizable voice. Which, you know, if he's going to play Galactus, perfect. He's got a great voice. And like I said, he's just one of those guys who's, you know, kind of been like a B player in things. He was in The Creator. He was in The Creator as the villainous general guy who I don't remember his name. But yeah, man, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great spot for him to be in. Yeah, and that's really all I got to say about it. I think it's a great choice. I know people had I know Javier Bardem was the one for quite some time, with a lot of steam. So I wonder if that was on the table at some point.
To your point, when Pedro Pascal got cast, and then we got the subsequent casting of everybody, there was so much heat to each casting rumor. Felt like it was absolutely real. Like for me, the one that was the most real was our trademarked quote unquote cinema version of the Fantastic Four, which it would have been Adam Driver, Paul Mescal, Margot Robbie, that Fantastic Four, and then then you put Javier Bardem in that one. You make Cillian Murphy Doctor Doom. Like there's a universe where that exists. Do I want to live there? Sure.
Apparently, the Cillian Murphy thing is still there.
But there's another name that's there now.
There's 3, right?
Yeah.
So who's the other one?
I can't remember who the other one is. The big one that people are talking about, which apparently has some steam. But now with this that just happened, now I'm not going to give it any.
It does feel like Marvel's getting a little trickier.
Yeah,
to nail down.
Yep, I'm not giving any credence to this, but apparently Ben Affleck's in a heated race to play Doctor Doom, and build wise, he's got it. Like, let's not beat around the bush on that. Build wise, facial wise, he's got it. Is Ben Affleck too Boston to do
this? Yes, actually, he is.
All jokes aside,
Mads Mikkelsen is the other one.
I'd be cool. I mean, obviously, if it was Mads Mikkelsen, that would be a dream. He's awesome.
Yeah, it'd be sick.
Obviously, I think because the plan is going to be for Doom to be around for a while. I just don't know if Cillian Murphy would do something like that. That's what it comes down to. And if it was Margot Robbie and Adam Driver, and Cillian Murphy could have looked at the call sheet and been like, oh, these are two Oscar-worthy actors. Not that Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby aren't capable of this, but you look at Adam Driver and Margot Robbie and you're like, okay, we can tell. And then they were testing the Panavision cameras, they were trying to do these things that try to invoke no, we're gonna do some movie, we're gonna do some picture making, we're not just gonna have this VFX screen and be Ant-Man 3, we're actually gonna try something.
Yeah.
I would have thought Cillian Murphy would have said yes, and then the sell probably would have been, we're going to put everything in the past from the MCU. We're putting everything behind us. We're in a new age where we actually care about movies and cinema and all these things. And then he might have said, yes, get me a good director too, and I'm in. I
am still not ruling out the Matt Smith bait and
Doom.
Switch.
Yeah.
That I think he was so closely attached to the Reed Richards stuff.
Something about Matt Smith and Pedro Pascal worked for me too. The two of them together, I just picture in my head, they're the two most that I don't necessarily see Ben Affleck and
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
I do see Cillian Murphy and Pedro Pascal.
Oh, for
I just don't see. I feel like Ben Affleck's too much of a unit to go against Pedro Pascal.
And I just don't know if he can. I don't know. Can he? I don't think he can shake the Boston thing. I don't know. I don't know if he can.
Cillian Murphy would do. I mean, Mads Mikkelsen would be good. Mads Mikkelsen would be great. If I had to pick, yeah, man. I really, man. Again, there's a universe where that Adam Driver, Margot Robbie, Fantastic Four would have been a real thing with, locked in Cillian Murphy, locked in Javier Bardem. But I just think the last couple of years for Marvel, all these actors are because before they got Christian Bale before. I think all these actors before would have been oh no, sure, I'm in. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's as sure of a thing.
For sure. I mean, with all this stuff, I would not be surprised if we hear a Doom thing in the next couple weeks.
100%. Yep. But here's the last thing I'll keep you with, because I know we want to move on. But,
yeah.
The only other thing I'm thinking of is this isn't the 616 universe that we're talking about for any of this.
Sure.
And, things might change after Secret Wars, where I think what's going to happen is this Fantastic Four is just going to get retconned back into the 616 in the modern age instead of the 60s, in whatever universe they're in.
Yep.
So who knows if he's going to stay as Galactus? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, this whole thing with Lakeith Stanfield he still very much could end up playing,
Silver Surfer,
Norrin Rad. Like, he still could be Silver Surfer in the main 616. Like, all those things could happen.
Yeah, 100%. And, we talked about it when we've talked about X-Men 97 in the last couple of weeks, is they are, with how good this show is and how good it's doing, I think they're officially going to start fast-tracking X-Men stuff, live-action wise. Oh,
and even further to your point about, you talked about getting people that we don't know too much about. Like, this is a good point. Like, this is a good starting point. It's just who's going to do all these things. And I mean, it goes back to my big point I always make about Star Wars. It's not about the what, it's about the who. So, who you get. The name being thrown around is Ryan Coogler's a big name being thrown around to spearhead the X-Men, which makes all the sense in the world.
I mean, I've gone on record as saying he's arguably the best director in their stable.
Yeah, and I'll always say it, as of right now that, plausibly can come back, because I don't think the Roosters would come back. Their top three directors that they probably have it's Chloe Zhao, Ryan Coogler, and Sam Raimi are your best three directors that you have right now, if I'm thinking correctly. So,
yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, because I think Taika Waititi's lost. I don't think he's ever doing a Marvel movie again.
No, I don't know what happened with that guy. Mm-hmm. He just, I don't know. I think he just got too...
He got too self-indulgent on the fact.
I think so, yeah.
He just got way too up on what was going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Ryan Coogler's a great choice. I just think, next week we're going to talk about X-Men 97 as a whole. Episode 9 came out yesterday, and this show it leaves me speechless sometimes. Like, I can't even come up with the words, and this is an animated show, but the emotion that it captures, the real world implications that it captures, again, what did Bo DiMaio do? I just want to know what he did.
I don't know, man.
If this is a situation where he can be redeemed like James Gunn was, a Ryan Coogler and Bo DiMaio led section of the MCU.
Ryan Coogler directs it, and Bo DiMaio's a lead writer.
That's a dangerous.
That's a potent mix.
That's a potent mix. Gives me the goosebumps. That would be. Oof, that would be just, and you bring in who you can bring in. You start to, and, a lot of the people, I actually was just listening to an interview that the cinematographer for Wakanda Forever just did. That's the type of personnel you need. Bring all those people with you that you've been working with.
Bring the X-Men 97 team in.
Yep. Bring all those writers in. Bring your team in. That can be a sector where, maybe even Feige can take some away, and then put all that focus that made the MCU great, put that back into the Avengers, into the Fantastic Four, and then let Ryan Coogler take the X-Men and just let him do what he let him and Bo DiMaio do what they want.
The MCU, don't count him out.
Yeah, you can't.
And speaking of don't count him out, Giancarlo Esposito is coming.
Yeah, he is.
He has confirmed this via Collider that he has been cast in the MCU, and people already started Birdman-esque rubbing their hands. They're like, he's going to be Doctor Doom, and then they kept reading a little bit, and he was like, it's an exciting character. It's a new character, a new original character for the MCU. So that could be... I mean, we can't even guess because it's a new character. And in the vein of, we talked about Kahori and What If, it's going to be a new character that clearly I don't know what came, it's a chicken and the egg. Did they get Giancarlo Esposito first, or did they create this character, concept this character, and be like, this is Giancarlo Esposito?
So I have a couple theories. My first theory is the Kang one, that I think they got Giancarlo Esposito, and then the question was asked. They were like, can we just make him an older Kang? And I think they're still trying to. I do think that Domingo Coleman still has a chance to be. So
you think this is a bait and switch? You think he's going to be an actual Marvel character?
I don't know. Maybe he's lying. Maybe he's lying because the Professor X thing was a big one for him too.
Well, he also did say that
it
wasn't a character that people had fan casted him as.
Okay, so obviously it's not Professor X because that was a big swirling theory is that he was going to play Professor X. But you know, for something like this, like you said, like Kaori from What If, like, do you get him as like? Maybe it's like I don't know what's going to happen with Ross. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with, and you're not going to have Harrison Ford forever. Maybe he's like the vice president that becomes the president. And then that has maybe it's a role where it's not as big as we're making it out to be. Maybe it could be like that.
That could be totally possible.
He just got cast and he's like,
because he has said for a long time that he wants to do one.
Right.
So maybe they just built him a role that he's going to be a one-shot in, and people are like...
Or maybe he acts more like Coulson. Like, maybe it's like not Coulson, but you know what I mean?
You just made me think of Giancarlo Esposito as Coulson, and that is hilarious.
That would have been great with Samuel L. Jackson. I just don't think he would have taken, like, any of those orders from him. Like, it would have been like, I don't know who you think you're talking to. But, yeah, I do see a world where it's not as big as a character. Like I said, it could be just like he's like a military guy, or he's like a political official, just something like that. And then he's just around in the MCU while things are going on.
And he's going to be great.
Yeah, it's
at whatever he does.
Esposito. It's one of the greatest actors that's ever lived.
So that's super exciting. Like I said, Marvel, between Deadpool, Wolverine, all the Fantastic Four stuff. Speaking of the Fantastic Four too, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is apparently really good, and the lead writer on that is the lead writer of Fantastic Four. Also the lead writer from Avatar: Way of Water. Mm-hmm. So
family. Apparently, this whole thing. Yeah. Well, one thing those movies get right, it's family. So yeah. I'm chomping at the bits to see this Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I just finished Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So man. Matt Reeves is a psychopath. It's like, that's one of those guys that like makes me just want to like pick up my camera and just make something. Like anytime I watch anything he does, I'm like, geez, like this is where Marvel go give him a call. Tell him to do both. I could do both.
Superman.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
The suit.
That's been infinitely more controversial than I thought it was going to be. Or maybe I was being naive.
You were being naive because this was going to happen no matter what.
Right. Yep. I told you when I saw you, I was like, people, the revisionist history has been, oh man, I'm going to get some hate. The revisionist history has been nuts because this love for Cavill's suit has come out of, where was this when the suit first came out? Because everybody was hating that suit. They said that suit looked too weird. It looked too alien. People were like, why can't we get Christopher Reeve's suit? And I'm like, now people are like, whatever happened to Henry Cavill's suit? That's the best suit. What are we talking about? Yeah,
so we got a first look at David Cornsweet as Superman in the suit, just minding his business.
Yeah, like apparently, like something's going on, and you could tell it's like, all right, time to go to work. Like this is like, I don't know if I'll save this point for last, but man, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
I think it looks fine.
I think it looks exactly, and I also don't think this is the last suit.
I was going to say that also.
I don't think this is the last suit. I think that's my mom made me this suit.
I agree. 100%. I don't think this is the final suit at all. I think the final suit. I mean, just look at James Gunn's track record with the costumes. He gave us the Guardians costumes.
Both of them. He gave us the individual ones, and he gave us the team suit.
You don't think by
and then people were mad. People were like, "Oh, thank God he gave us the team suit." And then now people are mad that this Superman suit is like, I don't understand.
He's gonna have a.
I see what you did there. He's gonna.
He is gonna. He's gonna have a more bluer suit by the time the movie's over.
I just think that
100%.
Oh, what if he's taking that suit off? He's not putting that suit on.
Maybe because that suit in that photo is like damaged. Yeah.
He's got the trunks.
He's got the trunks. Red boots, trunks. It's
the collar that I think people hate, but the new 52 Superman had the collar. So
I always kind of liked him with the collar, to be honest with you.
It looks more modern. Look, if you're gonna do the classic look, you got to go with Gary Frank's look because Gary Frank has the best iteration of bringing that that classic nature to the modern age.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think people are hating this just to hate it. I genuinely think that's what it is. Like this, I think it's kind of weird. Jurassically bad is like looking at like Ben Affleck's 2003 suit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's like no good. Like, you know, like that's looking at what's another bad suit?
The Captain America Avengers suit is bad.
Not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
It's pretty bad.
It's not the end of the world.
No, but it's not great.
Like the Catwoman suit from Halle Berry's movie. That's a horrible suit. Like
The X-Men suits.
well,
Sauceless.
I'll give you that. The only reason I give those suits some like a little bit of leeway is because it's from Grant Morrison's new X-Men. That's the only reason I give those suits a little bit.
Clooney Batman suit.
Right, like
terrible.
There's actual bad suits. Like that's just not one of the bad suits.
No.
So I just think it was an over like, and again, whatever came out of this, some people were just gonna be like, whatever happened to Henry Cavill? I'm like, you guys hated Henry Cavill.
Well, yeah. So you got that. You got those people. You got the Snyder people that are just going to hate everything DC does unless Zack Snyder's involved.
Right. They're the ones that gave Rebel Moon the 13%. They got it up to 13%.
So, like, there's a million things working against it, and which is unfortunate because I think it's fine.
Here's the thing I was going to say. I don't know if you get. Again, I talk about it every time we talk about this new DCU, and then we get the suit reveal. There's just something in the air. I can't put my finger on it. There's just something. There's something about him sitting there, putting the suit on, like, or taking the suit off, if my theory's right. But there's just something that's along the lines of, like, this, like, wholesomeness, this, like this familiarity almost of, like I said, like, truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Like, there's just something about it, about this DCU that feels very, like, they're gonna do the weird stuff because it's James Gunn. They're, like, you're doing Swamp Thing in the first phase. Like, obviously you're gonna do some crazy stuff. I just feel like, at the core of this movie, it's still gonna get it right. Like, there's something right about it. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see. I do wish they'd kind of gotten away. I do wish, at least for the photo, they got away from like the darker aesthetic, just because it invokes a lot of like DC is the gritty one. You know what I mean? Like it invoked a lot of that, and I was just like, could have used a little bit more of something that let you know like this thing is gonna be different. And I think I think it is gonna be tonally way different than what we've gotten. It's just that image just invoked a lot of like like hyper realism, like kind of like the Henry Cavill Superman. Like maybe they could have like done something a little different with it that maybe would have made me think like, oh yeah, here's the tone. You know what I mean? But also that's not the point of this promo image. The promo image is just the suit.
I think it's to even counter the point. I feel like that promo image is like it's literally pulling from an important scene in that movie. I genuinely think that's what that is. Like I feel like that's going to be a climactic piece in the movie where like, no, that promo image isn't just like, obviously it is supposed to act as a first look, but I think it's more than that. Like I do genuinely think it's like whatever that sky beam in the back. It's like not the sky beam. Yeah, not the sky beams are back from everything. I do think that's going to be like an important thing that happens. Like I said, I think he's taking off the suit to put on the new suit, the actual Kryptonian suit, which he's been running from this whole time. So that's why it's like that. It's more like narrative based than just like the first look is dark and gritty. Like I think it's further than that.
Yeah, definitely could be.
I just think James Gunn knows better. I just think he knows better.
I think so. I agree. And then the last bit of news I got, again, just came out today. We're doing Lord of the Rings again.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this is. So Peter Jackson is involved. He is executive producing a series of films. I'd assume so. And the first of which will be directed and starring Andy Serkis.
I didn't know that Andy Serkis was going to direct this.
Yes, he is directing and starring in the Lord of the Rings film that will be called The Hunt for Gollum.
Ooh. I wonder who he's going to play.
I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't know. Is it a prequel, an in-betweequel? Because, spoiler alert, at the end of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Gollum is hucked into a volcano and dies.
Theory can theory, but what if he didn't die?
I mean, he looked pretty dead.
Yeah.
Cascading into that lava at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So maybe it is a prequel. Maybe it is like, because we did see Andy Serkis as, pre-Gollum in Return of the King. Like we actually
Is this just a way to try and run Andy Serkis his Oscar?
Oh yeah, and like I said, I've been watching these Apes movies too, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, look, Academy. I know you guys are weirded out by anything that has a little bit of CGI and a lack of drama, and Adam Driver punching a wall and Marriage Story. I know those things bother you guys, but Andy Serkis, he's gonna get like a lifetime achievement award though. There's no shot if he doesn't get an Oscar, like how he's progressed mocap in Hollywood over the last 10
he revolutionized
10 to 20 years.
He's the godfather of mocap, really essentially.
Is. I mean, that's why he was in the Apes movies. Like that was the whole inception of getting him, was look what he did with Gollum. Like, if we're gonna do this, we need to make this feel real. So
what he did with Gollum was, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Not just from a mocap lens, but also from a performance lens.
Right.
Was remarkable. And still is. Like, we saw Return of the King a couple years ago in theaters. And, like, those Gollum scenes are amazing. Like, when he's doing the back and forth with himself, and you're just captivated by and unsettled by this character. So, I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of prequel. Probably Gollum, that brief stint that Gollum Smeagol has with the One Ring, is what I'm guessing.
That's what I think it's gonna be. I think this whole movie could be, what was his name?
Smeagol?
Yeah, Smeagol.
Like his descent into Gollum, maybe.
That's what I think this movie could be. I think this can actually be Andy Serkis. Like, he doesn't have to do the thing yet. Yeah,
could be. And then I guess we'll see. I mean, this was only a matter of time, right? It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, before these big IPs don't get left alone. Unfortunately, like, obviously your superhero stuff, your Star Wars things, like those are the ones that you know, but like something like this, like you hold out a little bit of hope that, like, you know, they don't get touched.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing, especially for Lord of the Rings, is what any type of reboot or reimagining or whatever the case is chasing is impossible. I mean, we talked about Return of the King and the sweep. The Oscar sweep, the 13 for 13, like, that's what you're chasing with a reboot. Like, good luck.
And you saw the reception that Rings of Power got. Well, and obviously a lot of unfairness came with that. But, you know, in terms of scale, you can try to reach the scale if you want. Obviously, technology is much better than it is.
And I mean, to be fair, if Peter Jackson's involved, I believe in it.
You took my point right from under me. That's and I'll always say that if the person, I was talking to somebody about this, and they were trying to argue with me about the whole thing of like the reboot. See, listen, if the person that made the original thing is there, then I will always be on board. It was the Gladiator. That was the one, because, you know, I can't remember who I told the person, they're coming out with a new Gladiator movie, and they scoffed at the idea of a new Gladiator. And I said, Ridley Scott's making the movie. And they said, well, why do they need I said, if the person that made the thing is redoing the thing, then I'm fine, because obviously a piece of them doesn't feel like this story is finished. So that if it's somebody new, that's where the skepticisms can come. I'll listen to some of the skepticism, but if it's the person, I'll be in. I'll see what they have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish Peter Jackson. I just think if you were going to get somebody, Andy Serkis makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And also someone that's intimately familiar with the material.
And not only the material, with Peter Jackson. I think that's also a very important piece, especially because I know Andy Serkis directed something in the last couple of years.
He directed Venom 2, sir.
Yeah, it was Venom 2. Yep. The best superhero movie of the last 20 years. What director can come up with "Not You, Father"? You, Father. Who's doing that? The dichotomy between... is that why he did Venom? Because the dichotomy between Venom and Eddie? Just like Smeagol and Gollum? Oh my... There's levels to this, actually. We have to move on before I go into a rabbit hole about this.
It's the second week in a row we talked about Venom 2, by the way, which is pretty good.
It's so good.
Shogun.
Yeah.
Man.
So there's this little show.
You know what? You say that, but you're not wrong.
It's little... Because this show...
Well, not now.
Right.
But, I mean, holy moly, what a roller coaster this show has been on. So, this was announced in August of 2018. So 6 years ago it was announced that FX would be making an adaptation of the 1975 novel Shogun by James Clavell, and was given everything. Given green light. And then so the show, 6 years in the making. Mm-hmm. 6 years in the making. I believe some of the scenes in the show with Sonata were filmed in 2018.
Incredible.
Because they had to keep filming, otherwise they were going to lose the rights to the source material. Which is a thing we've talked about before in the past with like Fantastic Four. Like that's why they had to keep pumping out Fantastic Four things, because the rights would have reverted back to Marvel.
All the Fox things were happening because of that. That's the only reason some of those things were staying.
Yeah, so I found it here. Sonata did a single day of filming in 2019 in order for FX to retain the rights to the property.
Which scene do you think that was? I rephrase. What's the funniest scene that it could have been?
So it's got to be one probably where he's by himself. Because I think he was like the first actor attached to it. So it's got to be one where he's by himself.
And he's an executive producer on this too.
It's got to be one of like his like standing on a cliff.
Yeah.
Looking at maybe it's the scene with one of him and the Falcon.
Yeah.
It's just hanging out.
He throws the Falcon.
He throws it out there.
Stop, man. I know where to go.
Like we'll keep it. We'll keep it now. Sonata did a scene with a bird. We're in.
He did multiple scenes with the bird.
He did multiple scenes with birds. Speaking of...
Best actor in the show, the bird.
Speaking of Hiroyuki Sanada, just so happy for him that he gets this, that he got this show, because this guy's been in Hollywood for a long, long time now. One of the premier Japanese actors that have made the transitions to the West. And he, in the last couple of years, it feels like he's really emerged. He's
getting his due.
Yes, 100%. I mean, this guy's been making films since 1966. Yeah. Sonata's been acting.
He just does not look that old either, which is awesome.
And then he, let's see, I'm trying to see American film. So his first American film that he did was Last Samurai. Mm-hmm. Then he's been in Sunshine, he's been in Rush Hour, Speed Racer, the Wolverine we talked about earlier, 47 Ronin, John Wick, Avengers Endgame, and then in the last couple years he has from 2021 to now, he's really gotten kind of the mainstream kind of appeal. Obviously with Mortal Kombat, he played Hanzo Sashi, he played Scorpion, which I really liked his scenes as Scorpion.
It's almost like it was too good to be true in a movie like that.
Because Sonata's he's in like the first 10 minutes.
Where it's like the best 10 minutes of the movie.
Man,
that opening doesn't belong in that type of movie.
When they released that first 10 minutes, and they're like, here's the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it's the Scorpion Sub-Zero stuff in the past, and they get that hand-to-hand fight, and it's him and Sub-Zero, and they're like yelling at each other, and then they have that sick hand-to-hand fight.
Yeah, I told you. I was like,
whoa.
This movie surely isn't going to be good.
And then the movie tricked us.
Yeah, the movie did trick us. And then it wasn't.
And then Scorpion shows back up at the end. And it's really good. It gets good again. So he will be in Mortal Kombat 2 also as Scorpion.
He was like a G in John Wick 4 too. Oh my god.
Oh.
that whole what is it? What do they call it? Hotel Osaka?
Yeah.
In John Wick 4? Buddy. That opening and that movie, because that opening's like 30 minutes long. Like that opening is a big chunk of that. That movie's long too. I think that movie's like 250 or something like that.
He was the elder in Bullet Train.
Yeah, he was in Bullet Train. Yeah, a movie that both of us quite liked as like a fun, like, because sometimes you don't need to take this infinitely seriously, and I think Bullet Train's a good example of that.
And now this, he plays Yoshi Toranaga in Shogun, and just
phenomenally so.
Wow, what a performance!
What a performance is something you're going to hear from us a lot talking about this show.
Speaking of next on the cast list, Cosmo Jarvis, kind of a really unknown British actor. And
I told you when I watched the first couple scenes with him, I said, "Oh, he's gonna probably be a movie star after this. Like he's gonna probably start to get whatever he wants after this." And it's his freaking voice is a. He's 10 got
a very he's just got one of those voices, kind of like Ralph Ineson in a way, where you're just like, it's just identifiable right away.
There's a boom, there's a gravitas, there's like a grandeur to his voice where like you can't help but listen when he talks. Like that's just what it is. So like I said, I think he's gonna get whatever he wants after this show.
He plays John Blackthorne.
Say his name right.
Private John Blackthorne. The Anjin. Then we have one of our personal favorites in the show, Anna Sawai as Toto Mariko. Just man, oh man, just
what a nuanced. And I told you, like, I saw this thing the other day where it's like, what are some of the best female performances that you've seen? And, you know, obviously it was getting, you know, Linda Hamilton was getting thrown around, which is my personal favorite because I have a lot of reverence for Terminator 2. I think it's one of the greatest action movies ever. Like, obviously you're getting Linda Carter as Wonder Woman getting thrown around. You're getting, you know, obviously the big one, Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, but, you know, just thinking modern, this is one of the, I know this is television, but this is one of the more memorable performances that I've seen in television.
That character is so captivating. And we'll talk about her.
It's so subtle. It's so, sometimes it's not the boom of the lightning, it's the calmness of the clouds that really gets you.
And she's also...
See me spinning bars just because I watched this show?
She's also the lead role in Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which continues to get really great reviews. Yeah. The Russells, starring the Russells. Yeah. And then I guess rounding out the main cast, Tadanobu Asano as...
Yeah, talk about our guy.
Yabushige-san.
Can we just spoil who our favorite character is from the show?
He's so good. Yabushige is... the best.
And the worst.
And the worst. Like, it's a testament to that guy and that performance and the writing of that character that, like, he does overtly treacherous, treasonous things.
And I'm still like...
And I'm just like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
Like, I still love him. He
was the best guy around. What about the people he murdered? What murdered him?
He is... Oh, shoot! He's also in Mortal Kombat. He's rated.
Oh, he is rated in Mortal Kombat. That's 100% right.
Oh my god!
Love that guy, man.
Now I wish they retroactively would have made Cosmo Jarvis Johnny Cage.
Oh my god, imagine if he was Johnny Cage in that movie.
It's Carl Urban, though. I can't be mad. I can't be mad that it's Carl Urban.
Oh, Cosmo Jarvis probably would have been a really good, like, unknown Johnny Cage. I want to see him with an American accent. That's the next thing for him.
Yes, very true.
See him do something American.
But this show, man, holy moly.
It's like, I know we say this a couple times about the really good stuff we watch, but, like, you know, sometimes you watch something like, there's no way this is a real thing that we get to watch, right, and experience.
I mean, the thing that got my attention, obviously, was people were like, Game of Thrones, right? Mm. They're like, think season 1, early season Game of Thrones. And I was like, no shot.
Yeah.
No shot. Because that's, you know, when I was talking about before, like, chasing, like, the Return of the King, like, that type of prestige, like, when you're throwing around, like, season 1, season 2 Game of Thrones, like, you're charting into, like, special territory. I was just like, no shot. And then I watched episode 1, and I was like, oh, shoot. So I guess we should clear this up, get it out of the way. You also watched this with the subs, right? Like, just the Japanese voices?
Yeah, I didn't. Okay. I didn't.
Because there is a dub where they do English voiceover dubbing of the Japanese acting.
I did not know that, and I would never watch something like that. That just, I feel like that would take away a layer to the show.
Yeah. So we both watched the subtitled performances of. So
yeah, I imagine that scene from episode 2 would just be
odd?
so odd and.
I kind of do want to check it out just to see. But
because
yeah.
I'm assuming like Sonata and they all, you know, just said the English lines.
No, I think it's just English, different voice actors.
That's weird.
Dubbing over the Japanese lines.
That's weird.
It works in anime. It doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work in live action.
I feel like that was more of like a studio courtesy thing of like.
But apparently, on some of the platforms, that's the default.
Interesting.
So I think on YouTube TV, I believe that's the default.
That's weird.
And then I saw it because I watched it on Hulu.
Yeah, same. I watched it on Disney Plus through Hulu. So.
And the default on Hulu is the subbed version. Right. But I did scroll over and it was like English dubbed version. I'm just like, no, not interested. Because I agree. I think you would lose a lot of, especially from the Japanese, obviously from the Japanese cast. Cause,
you wanted Blackthorn to be dubbed because he was too English.
Oh, they should have reverse dubbed it.
Oh, they should have like turned out an American actor to do the English voice dub.
No, do an American. Get an English actor, English voiceovers for the Japanese actors. Japanese voice actor for Blackthorn.
I take what I said back about the scene we're going to talk about in a little bit.
But no, yeah, so we both watched the subs, and I'll be honest, I did have to rewind quite a few times.
That's because you weren't locked in.
I wasn't. There were times, like, it's bad, man. Like, I don't realize how occasionally not locked in I am to watching things until I have to watch a thing that's in another language.
That should tell you how good the show is. Because
like,
I
you
feel like
can't...
other shows you might have been like, yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Not this show.
Nope.
Not this show.
Every time I did that, like, maybe I check my phone for like 30 seconds and then I'm like, I just feel like I missed like an important conversation because it's in Japanese and I have to actually like be engaged.
Maybe that's why this show performed so well and why people were so engaged. They're like, oh, we have to pay attention. And then once people pay attention, like, oh shoot.
And also, like, it does have that Game of Thrones thing where I'm like, who is this? What is happening? Whose house does this person belong to? Whose clan are they in?
The clan.
Not that clan.
Oh, okay, nice.
But the show does a really nice job of kind of not hand-holding you through that, but they spend enough time with like each main character, because like the main characters are essentially Blackthorn, Toranaga, Mariko, and they get them together in pretty short order, and then you can kind of cascade from there, and you're like, all right. So it took me a while to figure out what Yabushige's deal was. I'm like, who is he? Is he like another warlord, or like what's going on? And then by like episode 3 I was pretty much cleared up. I'm like, oh, he's like Toranaga's, like one of Toranaga's like lieutenants, essentially. I'm like, okay, I get that. The Council of Regents, I kind of got
Council of Reeds?
I got that pretty quickly, like, because the 4 other ones don't really matter. It's like a Shido and the Beatles, essentially.
Shido's the top dog. Like he's the one that's
he's Toranaga's rival,
right?
Main rival. So I got that pretty quickly. Took me a couple episodes to suss out who Buntaro was.
Yeah, which, retroactively speaking, what you get later into the season, I'm kind of glad they kept it the way it was, because I feel like the immediate push for him, because the subversion that happens and the, spoiler alert for what we think is when he's about to die, one of the coolest moments, which turns out to not be a great moment, because, spoiler alert, he's not a great guy.
Yeah.
But is he?
No.
That's why this show is kind of good. Because we don't know for sure.
So once I got it down, I was like, all right. So I got Toranaga, I got Hiromatsu, who's like his guy. That's his Fuji. It took me a while to suss out her deal too.
I just thought she was gonna. It's weird. Not that she wasn't or was a bigger deal than she was supposed to be. I thought she was gonna be more important to like the hierarchy piece of what they were doing.
Yeah, it took me a while to suss out,
because it was very immediate when she tried to kill herself, and then because she knew her baby was gonna die.
Because when she shows back up as Blackthorn's consort, I was like, who is she? And then she talked about, or I think as Mariko said, like, oh, her husband spoke out on behalf of Lord Toranaga. I'm like, oh, that's her from the beginning of episode 1.
Yeah, the show's not hand-holdy, but it understands, like, we're gonna give you the thing. It's just if you're gonna pay attention to it.
Yeah, so it took me a while to suss out Fuji, and then everyone else I was pretty much, until Lady Ochiba showed up, and I'm like, who is she?
Yeah, that did. Yep.
And then I was like, oh, she's the one that Toranaga held hostage in the beginning of the season. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know who everyone is.
It's almost like these writers know exactly what the principles of screenwriting are. And then one of the biggest ones, that'd be Chekhov's gun. Whether it be a real Chekhov's gun, we do get a real Chekhov's gun.
But yeah, I mean, this show, I told you, every episode of the show has a scene or a moment where you're just like, yeah, or a couple of them, where you're just like, oh, this is the cinema that they be talking about, and we get it right off rip. They tell us, I love a good words on a screen, setting the stage like a play. It's very play-like the way they set the stage. So we're set in the year 1600,
yep.
Actual 1600. The Taiko of Japan has died, and a council of 5 regents has been appointed in his death. And
he ain't dead yet, but he's going.
He's on his way out. And they protect the heir of the Taiko at Osaka Castle. These 5 regents.
Yeah, protect is a loose term.
And the fear of all Japanese people is that one day one of these 5 regents will rise to power and become the Shogun. And that's where we start. And then we end up in a ship full of British people who have been just going through it.
Yeah. Just these regular British people. They definitely are not pirates.
No. And one of these very loud, obnoxious British folks is our John Blackthorne, who we don't know this yet, and they end up marooned in Edo Bay, captured by Yabushige and his crew in Izo.
Yeah, and a great piece is, I'll just get it out of the way now. This show, cinematography wise is just
man,
just gorgeous, and the gorgeousness does not come out of it being tack sharp. I mean, the lens package that they use on this show, I knew they were using kind of they were messing with the elements in the camera to get that very exaggerated bokeh on the around, and it's like what that does is that really isolates your characters, because this is a big piece of a story like this is a character study. So technically speaking, this is where the philosophy of what cinematography is. Any cinematographer that leads philosophically first and not technically first, I think, are the best. It's like your technical side is, you can learn that on any campus that you go to. YouTube video, like whatever you gotta learn it, go on the internet, you can learn it. Using that to your advantage is where this show truthfully shines. It's like, this show is disgusting to look at sometimes. And another piece that I think about that a lot, the Batman does that infinitely well. The Batman is a dirty, disgusting movie in the best possible way. Like, this is the same thing. Like, this movie is, or this show does not. The show looks so horribly amazing, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it
does, yeah.
It does not look incredible. Like, it looks so incredible, but there's points where it does look absolutely beautiful, and that's kind of, like the joking, like the shadows of Arrakis, like the shadows of Japan, like that's where the show really shines too.
Yeah, so Blackthorne and his crew are taken prisoner by the locals of Izo, the local samurai.
I want my guns, and I want my men, and I want off this island.
He can't even get those words out yet.
You savages!
So, a lot of the backdrop revolves around the Portuguese occupation of Japan, specifically the Portuguese Catholic occupation of Japan. So we see a few of these Japanese folks have already converted to Catholicism. Blackthorne's men are Protestant, who are at the war with Catholics. It's a whole religious backdrop thing. So Blackthorne already sees these Catholic crosses. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
They got to you guys, didn't they?
Yeah, so one of the local Jesuits wants to have Blackthorne executed, because they think he's a pirate, and Yabushige is like, nah, I want his guns, I want his ship, give it. You can keep Blackthorne alive, because he's kind of fun. I kind of like him.
Well, I think that's the point. Like, it's funny, like, Yabushige's, like, playful ignorance is kind of, if we really want to get into it, one of the main inciting incidents of this. Like, Yabushige's personality is the only thing that keeps Blackthorne alive. It's just the fact that he's a bit of a scoundrel himself. He's like, yeah, I think it'd be fun to watch this barbarian run around here. Like,
and Yabushige, you're like, oh, he's kind of fun, and then he's like quickly turning around and like, but boil that man alive.
Yeah.
Because Yabushige has this obsession with death, and this obsession with, he thinks he's gonna gain some insight into death by seeing people die. And he just does this in horrific ways. That's kind of his shtick. So good for him. Great for him. Yeah. So that's all we get out of Blackthorne at the moment, where we go back to Osaka Castle, where all 5 of the regions are there, and they're very situationally placed, where 4 of them are all sitting in a row, and then there's one man, Sanada-san, is sitting by himself, Yoshi Toranaga, and the other, his rival, Ishido, Lord Ishido, is like...
that actor I've seen in a bunch of stuff, too.
He's in a bunch of stuff. But yeah, he basically accuses Toranaga of kidnapping the wife of the Taiko and the heir, and holding them hostage because it would give Toranaga leverage. And Toranaga is like, how dare you, sir?
Yeah. I'm going to play along because you're in charge. Or are you?
Or are you? So they are like, Toranaga, we are going to vote to impeach you. And in Japan, guess what happens when you get impeached? You die.
Yeah.
You die. Your lands are forfeit. Everyone who has ever pledged allegiance to you is also going to die. And then one man pipes up from the sideline. He's like, "You don't treat Toranaga that way.
That's my glorious king. How dare you?"
That's my guy. You don't say that. You don't say that about Yoshi Toranaga.
And then a hush went over the crowd.
And then he just went, Ooh.
Well, guess I got to kill myself now.
My bad.
My bad.
My bad, everybody.
My bad on that.
There was someone to run.
Yeah, there was someone to run.
So this poor unfortunate soul disturbed the Council of Regents.
Yeah. And then Toranaga turns around and is just like, I'm sorry about him. That was I would never
That was crazy.
do anything about him. He should kill him. He should commit seppuku, actually.
Yeah, seppuku is a big theme in this show. It happens quite a bit. We come to this moment. They confront Fuji, this man's wife, and they're like, look, in lieu of everyone in your family killing themselves and ending your family line, we will settle for your husband and your newborn child.
Cut to Fuji.
Is that okay? Fuji's like, no.
Just a knife to her neck immediately.
And then we are introduced to Lady Mariko.
Yeah.
And
in a calm breeze
so calm.
Went over this show.
Yes. As soon as Anna Sawai steps on scene, there's this grace, just this presence, this silent power that she has over everybody, feels like. And you don't really know why, but she just commands it. And she goes to Fuji and she just says, come on, like, you don't want to die here. Like, you have a kind of a greater purpose than dying here. And then Fuji goes to like relinquish her child, and Mariko says, no, let your hands be the last one to hold him. And then off screen, we know that Fuji loses her newborn and her husband. And that immediately establishes like, holy moly, this people don't mess around. Like you don't do it.
No, tradition is tradition. And tradition is tradition, and honor is honor as well. And that whole thematic through line of honor comes to one of the greatest scenes in this show that happens in episode 8 as well. And I can't even talk about that. It was a 7 or 8. I think it was 7. The end of 7 that happens in. And
then Toranaga, we see Toranaga later talking to Toda Hiramatsu, his most trusted advisor, and he's like, did Yabushige come across a ship by chance? And Hiramatsu's like, yeah, I think so. Toranaga's like, go check that out for me, because we find out that Yabushige's village is infiltrated by some sort of spy on behest of Toranaga, and we don't know who it is. Yabushige also very eager to know who it is, because he's like, how is Hiramatsu already here? How could he possibly know about the barbarian ship?
Right.
And Yabushige's puffing his chest out, and he's like, this is my ship, my guns, my cannons, this is great. I can rule Izo with this. And then Hiramatsu comes, and he's like, actually, Yabushige, great job. Great job securing this ship for your lord Yoshi Toranaga. And Yabushige's like, yeah, I did do that, didn't I?
I'm the best.
And then he's also like, by the way, Toranaga wants the barbarian to come to Osaka. And Yabushige's like,
this is my pet.
This was fun. I was having fun with this for a little while. So they're going to Osaka. They get on a ship. Blackthorn is confronted by Rodriguez. Not enough Rodriguez in this show for my taste. Or just enough Rodriguez.
I think it is just enough Rodriguez. He is what did I tell you? He's the definition of the word swashbuckling. Like, that's exactly who Rodriguez is.
Yeah, he's a Portuguese guy who's been spending some time in Japan. He trades aboard the Black Ship for the Portuguese. And him and Blackthorn establish a quick frenemy relationship. Yeah. Just two pirates. But Rodriguez
is just a pilot.
Yeah, sure.
He wants his guns and he wants his men.
Rodriguez is very upfront with Blackthorn, like, hey, you're British.
Yeah.
As soon as we get to Osaka, I'm telling the Portuguese that you're here. I have your journals, and I will shoot you in the head if you try and take them. Blackthorn's like, all right. So
I'll go, but I don't want to.
Yeah. So they go. There's a shipwreck. There's a storm. Blackthorn immediately is like, I'm in charge of the ship now.
And people start listening.
Rodriguez goes overboard.
Yeah.
But Blackthorn throws him one of the
hooks?
No.
The ropes?
No. The
oars. Yeah.
There we go. I couldn't find it there. He throws Rodriguez an oar, and he's like, all right, we'll see him when we see him. Yabushige's like, you crazy son of a bitch. Blackthorn gets them through the storm, and then he's like, wait, we gotta find Rodriguez. And Yabushige's like, fine, will find him.
He's a good pilot. You must see him.
They find him. They find Rodriguez. And then I love this bit where Blackthorn's still handcuffed and he's like, I'll go get him. And they're like, Japanese are like, no. Like, we're not, and Blackthorn is basically like, fine, you go get him then. Or are you too chicken? Yep. And Yabushige is like, no, absolutely not. No. I'll the best. I'm the best.
I'm cool like that.
And then Yabushige
immediately folds.
He immediately falls. He gets to Rodriguez, and then the waves start to take him.
Oh, I love it.
This is that scene. Yep. Remember I said every episode has a scene? This is the scene. And Yabushige is like, this will be a fun game as we go through this. Like, what's the scene, right? It's easier in some than others. This is one where it's pretty easy. Yabushige immediately is like, I'm not letting these waves kill me. Takes out his sword, and Blackthorn's like, whoa. Yeah. And then last second rope throw by the rope throwing general, whoever that is. Give that man a raise.
Yeah, he's good at his job.
He hits Yabushige right in the chest with the rescue rope, and Yabushige is like, whew, I really didn't want to kill myself there. Yeah. Yabushige also hilariously constantly is writing his will.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Yeah. He's saved, and Yabushige and Blackthorn share a moment where they're like, you're all right, maybe. And then Blackthorn gets taken to Osaka Castle, where he but he's brought before Toranaga and Mariko, and that was episode 1. And I was like, I'm in. Yeah. You got me. Man. I am immediately captured. All my main characters are doing the main charactering, where I'm like, I immediately care about Toranaga, I immediately care about Mariko, Blackthorn, and Yabushige in a variety of ways. And episode 2, basically, we get a flashback to the Taiko on his deathbed, privately telling Toranaga the plan about the Council of Regents, and then being like, it's going to result in civil war. Like, you guys will not be able to hold this together for long. Sorry. But protect my son is the charge that Toranaga is given by the Taiko. Protect my heir. So it already colors that beginning piece where the Council of Regents accused Toranaga of kidnapping the heir, because now we know as a viewer that Toranaga is actually fulfilling the last wishes of the Taiko. Or is he? Yep. And then hilariously enough, Rodriguez said, I'm going to give your journals over to the Portuguese. And he does.
Yeah, he did. Can't even worry. If you got one thing about, or is he?
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, everyone, like, it's funny. There is subversion of expectation in the show, but then when you expect the subversion of expectations, they don't subvert. No. So, like, you're like, oh, Rodriguez and Blackthorn are cool. Like, he's not going to snitch on him. And then he just does. Yeah. And he's just like, this man is dangerous. He's trying to instigate a war between England and Portugal, or Japan and Portugal. Like, he's here for bad things. And the Portuguese are like, oh yeah, he's right. So this is where we find out that the Portuguese have two Catholics on the Council of Regents, 2 converted Catholics on the Council of Regents. And they're like, no, we need to execute Blackthorn. Like, he needs to die. And then, so we get the first meeting between Blackthorn and Toranaga, which involves Father Alito as the interpreter, and Mariko is also there as a shadow interpreter for Toranaga, because Toranaga doesn't trust anybody in this room. Toranaga doesn't trust anybody ever in history of history.
He doesn't even trust himself.
He doesn't even trust himself. And yeah, so Alvito, this show is so good at this, where it's like, surely Alvito is not as forthcoming as he says he is, and then he just is. Yeah.
He's much more honorable than I would ever give him credit for.
And much more honorable also than Blackthorn would give him credit for. Yeah. Because Blackthorn is like, what, are you going to twist my words? And he's like, no, I'll translate. I'll translate honestly and openly. Like, and then that's why Toranaga has Mariko there, and Toranaga even asks her, like, did the father translate everything perfectly? And Mariko was like, yeah, as far as I could tell, yeah. But we also find out that Mariko herself is a Catholic convert as well, who has a deep friendship with Father Alito also. So that...
You've known each other since she was a child.
Yeah. And then Ishido walks in and he's like, get him out. He needs to go. And Toranaga's like, he's my prisoner. Because Ishido's like, why do you care so much about this Englishman, Toranaga? And Toranaga's like, I don't. Watch me throw him in prison right now. no skin off my back.
Yep.
So he throws Blackthorn to prison just to prove a point, which is hilarious. And then that's where Blackthorn meets Father Exposition, as I like to call him. And Father Exposition fills us in on all the backstory, including a secret Portuguese base on the island of Macau.
Yeah.
That is shepherded not by just the Portuguese, but Japanese Ronin.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. And now here we go. Toranaga, the master puppet master here, is already at work because we get to the Council of Regents and Ishido's like, time to kill Toranaga, right, fellas? And then the Christian Regents are like, we can't. Not while this Englishman Protestant is running around, we can't. Deal with him first, and then we'll vote on Toranaga. And Ishido's like, I just want to kill him. And then this is where Yabushige, here we go, Yabushige playing both sides, meets with Ishido, and you're like, no, Yabushige, why would you do this? But he convinces Ishido that maybe Blackthorn could be useful. He's got guns. Guns are cool, right?
We did see how cool the guns got.
Ishido's like, guns are kind of cool. So how about, Yabushige says, how about we stage attack and rescue Blackthorn? So Blackthorn, I love this scene. Not the scene, but I love the scene afterwards with Toranaga and Yabushige, so Blackthorn's being, at the behest of the Christian Regents, is being escorted for execution, and then bandits attack.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no, bandits. And then
Is that Yabushige's whole thing in this show? Because he does it. Listen, if I had a nickel for every time he did it, I'd have a dime, but that's like one more than I thought I'd have, because he does it twice. This is the first one, and then he does it again in episode 9. He does it twice. He's just like, oh no, these people infiltrated.
So Yabushige's men show up, and you realize he paid these bandits to attack the Catholic Regents. Only to then subsequently backstab them bandits.
Literally backstab them.
So he takes Yabushige takes Blackthorn back to Toranaga, and then ding 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 ding. This is the scene. Episode 2, this is the scene where the show just elevates to another level. Take it away with this masterclass of a scene between Toranaga, Mariko, and Blackthorn.
Lord. So obviously we talked about the translation going on, so it's just, again, there's a couple things that go on. It's just Toranaga's got he's got this presence to him. It's just the way he sits. He demands answers without saying, I need answers to this thing. He just sits there with expectation, almost, is what I'd say. And then like you said, you made a great point. Mariko brings this grace over it as well. There's almost just like peace to things. Like there needs to be peace in all this war that's going on. And, Blackthorn only wants to be gone. Like he's like, if I need to stay, it's gonna be with purpose, because I need to be gone. Like I need to be out of this.
Well, he wants to enlist the Japanese to help him fight the Portuguese.
Yeah, he said, if I'm gonna be here, you guys are gonna do it. You scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. Like let's get this over with. Like he tries to tell him, like, I'm not. He says the word, like, I'm not the enemy. Like, and that was the first
word he learns.
Yeah, the first Japanese word he lays. Like, I'm not the enemy in this. Like the Portuguese are the enemy, and unfortunately the Portuguese have infiltrated you guys as much as you guys would not like to believe. And he talks about, and that's when Blackthorn tells Toranaga about the base in Macau, and Toranaga goes, base in Macau.
Well, he doesn't even say as much. He just kind of like raises the old eyebrow, and he asks Blackthorn to draw him a map of the world as he knows it. And just,
I must say, Atticus Ross's score and this show is it's masterful as well. It's such an accompaniment instead of like instead of its own character, which I think is the right choice for something like this. This show operates in subtlety, and like, to your point, it helps elevate and, really, prop up those big moments as big moments, and other shows where it would not be. It would be a little bit more streamlined, but this show operates it has great bang moments, if that makes sense too.
This is one of those moments, man, where Blackthorn is laying out the lay of the land, and Blackthorn essentially says, like, the Portuguese are here to take you over. They already think Japan is theirs based on a treaty that they made with Spain. Right. And Mariko is getting kind of defensive about this, because she has a good relationship with Father Alito and the Portuguese, and she's translating, but she's also kind of like omitting some things. But Toranaga's clearly interested in what Blackthorn has to say. And then you get that beautiful moment where she says to Toranaga, he says Portugal or Japan belongs to Portugal. And Toranaga goes, did he really say belongs? And she says, yes. And Toranaga's like, I need a detailed map of everything he knows, basically. And that's the first brokerage of, as much as Toranaga can trust a person.
Yeah, allegiance at that point. That's the most, like, the enemy is my friend. Like, I need you at
Toranaga, it should be stated that his mission, his purpose is not to be Shogun, so he says. It is not absolute power, so he says. It is to bring peace, true peace to Japan without conflict, so he says.
And, you know, that's why in this story, like, it doesn't, you know, a big fear of this show is the white savior complex when you get Blackthorn. And I think the show, rightfully so, takes Blackthorn right out of that. Once you hit, like, episode 4, it takes Blackthorn right away. Like, after the whole boat scene where, you know, the pilot does the pilot things, like, it takes him out. Like, now he's just a figurehead at this point, too. He has no real powers, so, you know.
But we get this scene, and Marco,
he's the wild card. That's what Blackthorn is. He's like, he was this, like, and I think they say it in the show too, that, like, Blackthorn being here is almost like prophetic. Like, he's like this, we were getting to war one way or another, and they did, but, like, this is a peace that none of us could have ever not, like, been fearful of, but hoped to have. Like, you're telling me somebody that's an enemy of the Portuguese just landed on our doorstep with all this firepower and all this knowledge just ready to go? Like, this is why he needs to stay alive for this too.
Yeah. And then we get this moment where Blackthorn says, you know, well, Toranaga asks, like, is this really, like, happening? And Blackthorn is like, I assure you their arrogance is unbelievable. Like, this is what the Portuguese are going to do. And that's when Marco pipes up and she's like, you're lying. And then he's like, with the most conviction we've seen out of Blackthorn at this point. Like, he's been kind of like this loud, brash kind of goof. But deadly serious, he goes, no, like, I'm not lying. And then she goes, do you swear before your God? And Blackthorn, without any hesitation, goes, yes, I do. Like, this is true. Like, everything I'm telling you is the truth. And then Toranaga's like, okay, you know, you can stay. And this is Toranaga again. The games is like, you will stay in my quarters. I will stay in your quarters because something's up. I don't trust. But did he say to Yabushige before? He's like, because Yabushige's like, man, Toranaga, you wouldn't believe what happened.
Yeah,
like,
bandits. What?
Bandits showed up. It was crazy. Luckily, my guys were there.
Yeah,
we killed those bandits.
There was a lot of good people there that day.
A lot of good people on both sides.
Yeah, it was incredible. You would have loved to see how we handled the situation.
And Toranaga is like, it's real weird that bandits always seem to be around when you do your thing.
Yep.
Yabushige's
he's like, trouble always seems to follow you.
And Yabushige's like,
I know, right? It's crazy. He's the best character in this whole show.
He's like, that is crazy. But I saved that engine though.
Yeah.
I saved him.
Yep. Look at my white barbarian running around. I love that guy.
Whew, man, Toranaga, dude, it was crazy. It's so crazy that there were bandits on that road, the same road that the engine was on. And then it was also crazy that we were also on that road.
Yeah. Fully ready to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't got to get ready if you stay ready.
Yeah.
You know? Crazy.
Yeah, what about last week when you guys weren't ready? That was different.
And then, yeah. So Toranaga is like, I'll stay in your quarters, you stay in my quarters, just in case an assassin shows up. And then an assassin shows up. And they're like, everyone in the quarters is like, they're after Toranaga. And Toranaga's like, no, idiots. After Toranaga very gracefully kills this assassin.
Yeah, it's one of the maids. And she I'm not going to lie, she was putting in work.
She was cooking. I also, I just love, like, he stabs her, and then he just kind of pushes her out the door. Yeah. When you're just like, Toranaga's the best.
Yeah.
And they're like, Toranaga, that's crazy. They were here to kill you. And he's like, no, they were not. I switched rooms. They were here for him.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, this guy, he knows a thing or two about a thing or two, I think.
Yep.
The master of trickery is what Toranaga's dubbed as throughout this show. And yeah, that scene, the map scene, oh, it's so good. And then, yeah, so then we get to episode 3. Episode 3 is fantastic as well. Yep. Toranaga tells Yabushige to we're moving, we're going back, we're going to Ajiro. We're gonna move my wife out of here. He's got 2 wives, Toranaga.
Yep.
He's got like a serious wife who's pregnant, and then he's got like a fun wife. The fun wife who always gives him shit, which I quite like. So this is Toranaga again, master schemer. We do this whole thing. We're gonna smuggle the women out. Well, it's to smuggle him out. Yeah. Because the regents are like, Toranaga can't leave Osaka. Like, he needs to stand, not trial, but he needs to face his impeachment. Toranaga's like, no, I won't actually. So he puts the wives in there. And then predictably to Toranaga, Ishido shows up and he's like, I just want to say goodbye to your wives. Let me just make sure that they're in there. And he opens the thing and they're like, they're in there. He's like, all right, just don't do anything sneaky while I'm gone. And then like one of them fakes like a pregnancy cramp. And then in the meantime, the fun wife gets out of her car and someone sneaks in. And you're like, and Blackthorn and Mariko look at each other like, oh? Yeah. Blackthorn's like, did anyone else see that shit? Did anyone see that? Was that Toranaga that just jumped in there? What was that? That was crazy. So they leave. And then Mariko's like, Blackthorn's like, what's the worst thing that can happen if they figure out Toranaga's in there? And Mariko's like, we'll all die. And Blackthorn's like, ugh. And then one of Ishido's men rocks up like halfway through and he's like, I'm here to inspect the carriages. And they're like, again? And he's like, yeah, again. And Blackthorn's like,
this ain't weird to y'all?
They're just gonna do this? They're just gonna let this happen? Like, we're all gonna just die here? And Mariko's like, maybe. Toranaga's in the carriage like, maybe. I told you, like, my favorite thing to do, like, when you would text me and be like, Toranaga's doing a thing, and then I would just send you the eye emojis. That's definitely Toranaga's favorite emoji, right?
Oh, yeah. If they had phones back then. Maybe he did have a phone.
Toranaga would definitely be sending the eye emojis. Like, are they gonna find us, Toranaga? And he'd just be like, eye emojis.
Who's to say?
But just before they get to the carriage that Toranaga's in, Blackthorn turns on his British ignorance. And just
his British properness comes out.
He just loses it.
Yeah, because they're checking all the caravans, and then they go in the one, and they're peeping on the women in there, and he's just like, he just starts losing it. He's just like, you can't do this to women.
He just starts yelling.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Yeah,
because nobody can understand him, so he just looks like this belligerent maniac.
Right.
He's living up to the barbarian name at this point. They're like, what is happening?
It's not right to peep on women.
It's not proper.
That's not proper.
And then one of Ishido's guys walks up and is like, hey,
shut up.
We already checked the carriages. Ishido checked it. Let him through. Enough of this buffoonery. What? You just letting this maniac just yell at you? Let's go. And Mariko looks at Blackthorn like, you crazy son of a bitch.
And then she straight up asked him, and she's just like, do you guys really care about their country? He's like, heck no, we're the worst, actually. We're much worse than you.
And then we get a raid in the forest.
Yeah, we do. Good old forest raid.
It's the Catholics. The Catholic regents sent their men to attack.
Yep.
And then, so Toranaga's like, well, jig is up. I gotta strap in, battle mode. And they're like, oh, shoot, Toranaga's out there. That treacherous Toranaga.
Yeah, one of the men looks and then he like taps the other one in the shoulder. It's like very stormtrooper-ish. He's like, I know that ain't who I think it is out there.
And then so everyone's fighting. We get a little Mariko can fight. We find out.
Yep.
She picks up the naginata, which is a famous Japanese weapon of women.
Oh,
warriors.
wait! Before you get there, it's that great scene with Yabushige and Toranaga because he goes, one of these days you're gonna tell me the plan before the plan happens, and Toranaga's like, nah. He goes, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, Yabushige is just like, son of a... He did it again.
And then we get introduced to Buntero. We get introduced to
the Last Samurai.
Yep, Mariko's husband.
Yeah, Mariko's husband, Buntaro. He's Toranaga's ace in the hole, essentially. Yeah. Like, he's him.
I don't know if he's very Jamie Lannister to me in a lot of ways. He's
Okay,
very, like,
I can see that.
golden child-esque, like...
Well, he comes from like a pretty noble family.
Noble family.
He's the son of Hiramatsu. He's Hiramatsu's son, who's Toranaga's right-hand man. So like Buntaro, born and bred.
Yeah, he's like the guy.
To be a samurai.
Right.
He's him.
He's him. He's like the guy. He's like the prototypical... He's like stereotypical samurai.
Yeah, so we're escaping Ajiro, and so the whole plan is we're gonna get on these little ships, and then we're gonna sail to the black ship, because the black ship is like home base.
Which ship?
The black ship. It's like home base.
Yeah.
Because it's the Portuguese ship.
Right.
Portuguese trade ship, like no touchy. No touchy, the Japanese Portuguese trade ship. So that's where we're going. Buntaro gets left behind. And the scene when you're just like,
buddy, he could have committed seppuku. He could have been like, I'm going. I know. This is it for me.
But he's actually like, then he remembered he was him.
And, one thing, and that's why, Blackthorn's a solid point of view character, because Blackthorn's like, can you guys go try to save him? Like, he's right there, and Toranaga's like, but he's like,
like, we can just grab him.
Yeah, he's like,
And Toranaga's like, no. Everyone's gonna hang back.
Yeah.
Before everyone just attacks Buntaro, we're gonna hang back. We're gonna let him kind of say goodbye to Toranaga. Like, they have a moment. Toranaga and Buntaro give each other like the
nod, like the cinematic nod.
You're the man.
You're the man.
You're the son I always wanted, because my nitwit son, who will show up next episode.
Yeah. Oh, you already did. He showed up in episode 2, blurted something out, and Toranaga's like, will you please?
Yeah, Nagakoto, good lord.
Shut up, stupid idiot son.
So yeah, Buntaro fights off a bunch of people. He gets chased into an alley, and you're like, well, it was a good run.
Well, he kills the first 2 guys, and I'm like, oh?
Hold on. Oh.
He's him!
So yeah, Buntaro is killed, presumably. Which, again, subversion of expectation. You're like, oh yeah, of course Buntaro would die, because we gotta kick off this romance between Mariko and Blackthorn.
Yeah,
because that's obvious.
Also, it was 50 against 1. There were 50 of them with torches and spears and blades, and I was like, this is it for him.
Yeah. So Toranaga gets onto the black ship because the Christian Regent's men have blockaded the port. So Toranaga strikes a deal with the Portuguese. He says, well, can you take us out on the black ship? I will let you build a Catholic church in Edo, my seat of power, which, for those of you who don't know, Edo is modern-day Tokyo. So it's a big freaking deal to get a church, and even Father Alito was like, ooh. Oh. And
a church, you say?
And the Portuguese are like, okay, but Blackthorn can't come. Not even. Toranaga's just like,
all right.
Sorry. This was fun, pal.
But what about my guns and my ship and my men?
Marco's like, nothing I can do. So they dump Blackthorn off on one of the other ships, and Blackthorn again is just like, man, fuck this. Like,
I'm not going out like this.
I ain't going. My destiny is not to die on this island. Like, I'm going.
And then he turns on his best Harrison Ford impression.
Yeah.
Greatest pilot in the galaxy.
Jumps on a ship and he's like, let's go, row, you sons of bitches.
And
like,
then he looks up. Rodriguez? I know that ain't who I think it is.
Yeah, Rodriguez is piloting the black ship, and a game of chicken emerges.
Yeah.
Because there's a cliff, and captain of the black ship is like, Rodriguez rammed them into the rocks. And Blackthorn's like, do it.
Do it. Go ahead.
You won't.
You won't. And he looks at him, he's just like, because Rodriguez hurts his leg in the second episode, he's like, Rodriguez, how's your leg? Fine. How's your mother? Dead. Good.
And Rodriguez chooses in that moment to pay Blackthorn back for saving his life twice.
And that's a debt repaid. And
Blackthorn squeezes on by, and Toranaga's like,
wait a minute. He's him. Not bad.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's a crazy-ass white boy, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that white boy's got some swag to him. Not bad.
So Blackthorn rejoins Toranaga on Blackthorn's hijacked ship, and Toranaga's like, hey, funny man. Funny man. Show me how you do the...
How do you do the thing in the water where you go in? He's like, oh, you mean diving?
Yeah. Show me that. And Toranaga's hilariously makes Blackthorn do this.
What I assume would be like 100 times.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
And Toranaga's... He goes to do it one more time, exhausted Blackthorn. Toranaga's like, no. I got it now.
And then Toranaga does a perfect dive because obviously he knew how to...
Well, before he perfect dives, he tells Mariko to tell Blackthorn he wants to race to the shore. Mm-hmm. Again, Toranaga, master strategist, wore Blackthorn out before this race. Mm-hmm. And then Toranaga is like, before we race, I want you to teach my men Western tactics in warfare. Mind you, Blackthorn has never fought a war day in his life.
No. He talks about a war that was fought, and then Mariko points it out. He's just like, wait a minute. You weren't born during that war. What are you talking about?
I heard about it in books.
About it. My uncle was there, and he's really annoying.
And then Toranaga makes Blackthorn a Hatamoto.
Mm-hmm. Big deal.
Big deal. You've been promoted.
You're one of my elite employees.
Did Blackthorn ask for this?
No. What does he want? His ship, his men, and his guns.
And Toranaga's like, I hear you, but what if I made you a Hatamoto?
He's like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what anybody's been saying. I want to go home.
Not only are you not getting your ship back, you're actually in charge of my army now.
Yeah, teach them artillery.
And then in Osaka, we go back to Osaka. Hiromatsu rolls up, and he's like, you can't fire Toranaga because he quits.
Yeah. And then Ishido loudly, ugh. He doesn't do that. That would have been funny. He's like, ugh.
Ishido's like, great. So he's...
You know who Ishido is? He's Red Skull in the middle of First Avenger, where, like, Captain America's going on all these missions, and then Red Skull's like, ugh.
He's like, good. We can just kill him now, then, right? This is great. And the other regions are like, well, actually, in order to do literally anything, we need 5 people on the council, even to impeach a member of the council. So since he quit, we can't do anything until we get another person. And Ishido's like,
I'm gonna lose.
Who made these rules? Oh my god. This is the worst rule ever. And we get back to...
Episode 4, we're at Yabushige's place.
Yeah, we're back.
I like to call it Club Yabushige, honestly. This is like a frat house almost to me. That's how I view his place.
It's pretty great.
All the boys are there. They're like, whoa, Yabushige, what's up, man? Been a long time. That's the GOAT. But you know, they see Toranaga pull up, they're like, oh, shoot. The actual GOAT's here. Who cares about you, Yabushige? The actual GOAT's here. And Yabushige's like, come on, guys, it's me.
It's my favorite episode.
Yeah, we don't care, though.
He gets there, and he's like, yes, I'm back.
I'm back, yo.
And everyone's like, they do like the Yabushige's ho. They do the whole chant. Yeah. And then Toranaga rolls up. And he starts waving the fan around.
A lesser filmmaker, but a funnier filmmaker would have looked at it, and they would have been like, one of the guys would have looked at it, they would have been like...
And then Toranaga gets up there and everyone falls silent, and then he just starts giving some great speech about like the future of Japan and like
you're the balance.
You're all the best. Mm-hmm. And then he starts waving, he pulls out his fan and he starts waving the fan around, and they're like, Toranaga.
he's him.
Yabushige's like, I'm sauceless once again. Like, no.
In my own land, in my own frat.
And then like Toranaga.
It's Sigma Alpha Yabushige is what I'm going to call it.
And then Toranaga doesn't even say, like, he's leaving. Mm-hmm. He's just, like, leading this chant, but while he's leading the chant, he's just getting onto the boat, and then the boat is sailing away, and he's still, like, leading the chant, and then he's just gone. And then you're like, wait, whoa, where's he going? What's going on here? And then, so, Blackthorn's like, all right, can I have my crew on my ship? Like, my ship is right there.
I can see it.
My men are still on the ship? And Mariko's like, no. They're back in Edo. And your ship and your crew, much like you, now belong to Toranaga. Mm-hmm. And Blackthorn's like, what?
What are you talking about?
Mariko's like, but here's a house. You got a good house. You
One of the best houses out there.
You get a salary.
4-3 on Airbnb. Not bad.
You get a salary.
What?
You're making Japanese money.
He's like, this means nothing to me.
And for a kicker, we got you a consort. The most probably like traumatically induced consort we could find. But this is Fuji. She's great. She comes
and she's recently single. Oh, jeez.
That's terrible.
It's horrible.
But yeah, and he's like, Blackthorn's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And Marco's like, that's the best part. Whatever you want. And Blackthorn, and she's like, typically consorts, like, she'll take care of your house. She'll clean. She'll do everything. Mm-hmm. She'll listen to you, and she will also pillow with you. And Blackthorn's like, no.
I'm good.
I don't want a pillow anywhere on, near, around. No. Not interested. Mm-hmm. And Marco's like, tough. Them's the breaks. Fuji is also Hiromatsu's granddaughter, which is nice. You will be training Yabushige's army for 6 months.
6 months?
So that's great. And then, so now we get Omi. Omi is not introduced, but reintroduced. He gets a name. This is Yabushige's nephew who pissed on Blackthorn in the pilot, literally.
And now he has a higher rank than him, too.
And he's like, hey, Unks, Big Yabs, Toranaga's gone. Why don't you just give the weapons to Ishido? That'd be pretty great. And Yabushige's like,
That's such a great plan I just came up with right on the spot. Now get out of my face.
That is Yabushige's bag, isn't it? Like, someone would suggest something to him, and he'd be like, that is a great idea I just came up with.
His grunts are the funniest. Oh. There's like a compilation of all his grunts in the...
And now, we're at cannon practice.
Yeah.
And it's going pretty well.
Yeah, it is going pretty well. He said, Yabushige's like, no shot. These things have no range. They have no class. Go give me my best katana. I'm taking out 50 men by myself.
Just me, all day.
And then the cannon goes off. He's like, not bad. He said, wait a minute. That was kind of cool. He said, do that again, swaggy white boy. Do that one more time.
Blackthorn's like, you guys only know about Portuguese cannons. Mm-hmm. You ain't never seen a British cannon. Yeah. He sets up like targets like 100 yards away, and he's like, fire those sons of bitches. Rips through the targets like no trouble. Cooking. And Yabushige's like, everyone's like,
wow. But he's on our side.
Not bad. Not bad. And then Blackthorn's like, you thought that was cool. Wait till I show y'all chain shot. Chain shot is wicked.
Excuse me?
So he shows him chain shot, and it's amazing. And then guess what? Ishido's men shows up.
Yeah.
His right hand guy, Jozen, shows up, and he's like, y'all better not be firing cannons over here.
What? No.
Yabushige's like, what? What if you hang out, stay the night?
Yeah, it's just, look, cannons ain't bad.
Stay the night?
Who said the West sucks?
Stay the night. Tomorrow morning, come to cannon practice. Yeah. I'll show you what these...
Is this a sports movie?
I'll show you what this is about. If you like the cannons, I give the cannons to Ishido. We all win. Huh? Jozen's like, okay. All right. I'll see that. And then, so...
The night happened.
Nightfall. Omi is hanging out with Toranaga's idiot son, Nagakoto.
We're not going to refer to him as... It's his idiot son. He's a bumbling idiot.
And Omi's like...
They're drinking sake.
And he's like, man, you know it'd be a hilarious prank? I like that we've reduced the super serious, super cinematic show into this. But this is what we do best. And he's like, it'd be awesome. Like, what if, like, at cannon practice tomorrow...
I love that this is canon practice. This is making this so much fun.
You just ripped apart Ishido's guys and just, like, established that, like...
You're him.
You're Toranaga's son.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be trifled with. Like, Toranaga left and, like, all of a sudden, like, you don't matter.
Yeah, and what's his name? Yabushige is in charge. No, you're him.
Like, that'd be sick. And Nagakoto's like, that would be sick. That would be sick. I'll sleep on it. And then we get Blackthorn at dinner with Fuji and Mariko, and it's awkward. But we're getting places.
Yeah, we are getting places. Well, they want his guns. And then Fuji stands right tip-top.
But we don't get there yet. We do get a really nice moment, though, between Blackthorn and Fuji, where he gives her one of the guns
As a gift.
and she gives him her father's swords. And Blackthorn's like, whoa, like a hush falls over the house. Like we're bonding right now. And then, you know, we say our goodnights, we say our goodbyes, and then a courtesan walks into Blackthorn's room, and that ain't no courtesan I ever seen. It's Mariko. And her and Blackthorn share a moment. They pillow.
Yeah.
They pillow. That's a great word. I'm going to use that all the time.
Yeah.
They wake up the next morning and...
Very no strings attached-esque way to wake up.
I love it, because they're just like... Marco's like, how about that courtesan last night? And Blackthorn, like, oblivious to subtext, is just like, courtesan, but that was... And Marco's like, it would be improper to, like, talk about it in front of Fuji. Like, she and I both thought you could use, like, a thing. And Blackthorn's like, I'm not an idiot. Yeah, courtesan was pretty great. So we're about to go to cannon practice. Omi's like, hey, you can't come to cannon practice with your gun.
Aw.
Blackthorn's like, over my dead body, can you have my gun and my sword? My new sword that I don't know how to use.
He pulls up and Fuji just has the gun pulled. The most thug thing I've ever seen.
But yeah, that's the thing, is like, Blackthorn's like, I love when Blackthorn goes double barrel. And he's just like, absolutely, you can have these guns when you pry them from my cold dead hands, Omi. And Omi's like,
Got me in a tough spot right here.
And Marco's like, whoa.
Everybody
She's
relax.
like, why don't you give Fuji your guns? She'll defend them over
with their life.
With her life. And then, so he gives Fuji the guns, and then Omi's like, finally a woman I can dominate. Give me the guns, woman.
Immediately, Fuji. I wish you would. I wish you would try to take these guns out of my hand. Fuji is down for the cause.
Marco wasn't lying.
One of the most loyal characters we've seen in anything we've watched.
Mariko wasn't lying when she said that Fuji will stand on business.
And stand on business, she did.
So Omi's like, all right, fine. He can bring his guns, I guess. So we get to cannon practice. Yeah. Ishido's men are there.
We should rename all the episode titles. Like, this one's called Cannon Practice.
There's actually a really good motif behind episode 4, the Eightfold Fence, where... We should talk about that for a second, at least. Where Mariko, like, explains to Blackthorn the concept of the Eightfold Fence, where he's like, don't you ever, like, get mad or, like, angry? And she's like, Eightfold Fence, you gotta... It's compartmentalization. It's 16th century compartmentalization, where she's like, you just stack it behind the Eightfold Fence, you fold it up, and you just leave it there. And then you see straight. Like, and Blackthorn's like... I don't like it.
Yep.
It seems dumb.
Yep.
It seems real dumb.
I want to shoot something.
So we get to cannon practice. Ishido's men are there, and they're like, let's see what these cannons are all about. Yabashige is like, you're gonna. Yeah. This is gonna be great.
This is the coolest thing maybe ever? Question mark?
I love this. I love this bit when they blow the cannons up. Like, watch. You guys are gonna be fucking amazed. And then Nagakoto rolls up on a horse.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what's he doing down there?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, fire the cannons! And just obliterates Ishido's men.
Jozen gets...
Decimated.
Decimated is the right word.
Yabashige's like, zoinks!
She's like, yoink scoop.
Not good. That this kid just took this into his own hands like this. I don't like it. And then episode 5, this is where things start to take a turn. Man. So Toranaga comes back with his whole army, and you see, like, oh, he is him. Like, he is actually as powerful as everyone says he is. Like, he is a warlord. Like, this is real. Like, you kind of get why everyone's kind of, like, afraid of him. Because, like, if he did want to seize power, he probably could. And he gets back, and he finds out what Nagakoto did, and he's like, real coldly, is just like, you're out. You're out. Not only are you out, Yabashige is also out.
Yeah.
I'm putting Omi in charge of cannon practice now.
And everybody's like, okay.
Not only is Toranaga back, gasp, egads, Buntaro is alive.
Yeah, yep. And then, obviously Blackthorn asks, who's that? And they're just like, that's my husband.
And
this is awkward, isn't it?
Yeah, because they're like, hey guys. Toranaga's like, hey, great idea, guys. Buntaro's going to stay with you guys because that's Mariko's husband. Mm-hmm. Mariko is Blackthorn's translator. It's going to be great. You guys are going to love this.
Blackthorn said, well, I can't pillow anymore. This place sucks.
Yeah, everything, Blackthorn was finally just settling in, and, he was, him and Fuji were getting along. Him and Mariko were, falling in love. He's starting to kind of, get the gist of, the culture down. He's like, this is great. And then Buntaro shows up, and it's just awkward. Yeah, and then what I love too, it's like I said, there's a lot of Jaime Lannister and Buntaro. The veil gets taken down from him because, again, this show subverts expectation just exceptionally well because the veil comes down, and then Buntaro is just a scumbag. He's just a horrible person. He's just drinking sake. He says, "Bring my arrows." He's mean to Mariko.
And Blackthorn said, "That's not proper." No, he doesn't say that. Also, Mariko
is equal parts trying to diffuse the situation, but also trying to annoy Buntaro. When she's like, well, Blackthorn says you should treat your wife with respect. And Buntaro's like, oh, he does he?
Yeah.
Well, he slurps noodles like a barbarian.
Yeah.
And Blackthorn's like...
this dumb animal.
I do think it's kind of hilarious that Blackthorn is trying to learn on the go, and Buntaro's like, that's cute. Look.
Yeah. Look at this dog.
He thinks he's people.
Yeah.
Sipping noodles. And Blackthorn's like, well... I think your sake cup is small. I drink sake out of a bowl. Throws his noodles into the yard and fills
me all the sake.
Fills the bowl with sake, the noodle bowl. Drinks it, and Buntaro's like, I can drink sake from a bowl too. So we get into a drinking contest between Buntaro and Blackthorn, which to be fair. Sorry, Buntaro, I was not familiar with your game.
Yeah.
I thought Blackthorn was just gonna...
drink you under the bus?
Yeah, British pirate, are you kidding me? Versus a samurai? But not that samurai can hold his liquor. So they start telling stories, and Blackthorn's like, Buntaro, tell me how you survived that 100-to-1 onslaught on the pier. And Buntaro, it goes silent. And Mariko's like, it's improper to ask a samurai about a battle like that. Yep. And Buntaro's like, why don't you tell Blackthorn who you really are, wife?
What do you mean by that?
So Buntaro forces Mariko to tell Blackthorn that she is the daughter of Akechi Jinsai, who murdered the predecessor of the Taiko. So she's kind of her father is kind of disgraced. And even though she comes from noble blood, she was kind of disgraced until her father was forced to execute his entire family before killing himself. Ooh.
Yeah.
Man. And then Mariko was only allowed to atone by marrying Buntaro. Ooh. Yikes. And Blackthorn is like, you didn't have to tell me that. You could have told me anything, and Buntaro wouldn't have known. And Mariko was like, it's eightfold fence. Remember? Remember that thing? Remember the eightfold fence? And then Buntaro, one last act of nonsense. Fetch me my bow, woman. And he's like, pick a post. Any post. And Blackthorn's like, what? And he's like, pick a post.
Pick any of those 8 posts out there. Buntaro, there's 4 posts. Pick any of the 12 posts out there, and we'll see who means business.
And Blackthorn's like, whatever. Right post. Buntaro's like, fantastic choice. Fires an arrow right past...
a millimeter away from Mariko's face.
Through the door. And then he does the same thing. And Blackthorn's like, good.
Enough.
I'm going to bed. Everyone go to bed. And then Blackthorn's awoken by the horrid sounds of Mariko being beaten by Buntaro. And Blackthorn's like, absolutely not. He chases Buntaro outside. And then Buntaro lays down his sword. And he's like... It was the...
my bad on that.
It was the sake brother.
Yeah, my bad, man.
And Blackthorn's like, are you serious? Big bad samurai warrior is blaming sake for beating his wife. And to be clear, Buntaro was not apologizing for beating his wife.
No, he was apologizing for disrespecting another of the Hamamoto's household. My bad.
Yikes. And man, that is just...
You're the scum of the earth. You're not this big bad samurai that I thought you were. That was so cool and noble.
Did you think he was waiting for Blackthorn to kill him in that moment?
No, I think he's smarter than that. I don't think he's smarter than that, maybe. I just think, maybe it gives him a way out of all this mess. It gives him a way out not to deal with any of this crap. And maybe he knows he should have died that night anyway, because I mean, you're going to get to it in a second, but obviously he made the devil deal to make sure he survived that night.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a rough scene. It was a rough scene. And then Blackthorn goes to check on Mariko, and she's like, you shouldn't have intervened. Like, don't get involved in my business, essentially. Like, it's not your concern, like, what happens to me. Like, it's my husband. Like, I'm just your translator. Like, that's it. So we get the next morning, and Blackthorn is like, Toranaga, can I go home, please? Toranaga is thinking about it, and then an earthquake hits, and then a landslide hits, and it decimates Toranaga's army. Mm-hmm. Rough. Yeah, rough is right. That sequence was harrowing almost. That slow-mo when they're running back into the town. Is just... And Toranaga also almost dies. Yeah. And who saves him? Blackthorn. Mm-hmm. Guess what that gets him? Yep. Another promotion. You've been promoted. Now clean up this mess. Oh shoot! Before any of this happens, the gardener subplot. Yeah. Yep. Dude. So Toranaga gifts Blackthorn this pheasant that he hunted, and Blackthorn's like, "This is great. I'm putting this outside." Mm-hmm. Just how my father taught me. You're gonna love this. And then Fuji's like, "This is gonna stink, right?" He's like, "Of course it is. It's great." If anyone touches this pheasant, they die. Clearly, he didn't mean that, right? Because he's British and loud. Come to find out, he wakes up the next day and he's like, "Why is everyone so sad?" And they're like, "Your gardener friend, he took the pheasant and Fuji ordered him to be executed." And Blackthorn's like, "Are you people deranged?" Like, but they're like, "You said touch pheasant, die." He's like, "It was." I was joshing around. That wasn't real. I was hyped. So this gardener is executed, and they're like, but to be fair, like, we all kind of talked about it, and he was sick. He was old. Like, he kind of took one for the team, And Blackthorn's like, that doesn't make me feel any better. He's like, I killed that man. Like, he literally says, like, I killed that man. Like, I condemned that man. Like, what is wrong? Like, you people have no respect for living. Like, all you people want to do is die. Like, why don't you people want to live and enjoy life? And everybody want to go to heaven, but nobody want to die. Everybody wants to die in this case. And Toranaga, so after the landslide, hilariously, Toranaga not only uses the landslide, but uses this gardener to get the heat off of his spy that he has in Yabushige's camp. Mm-hmm. And because Yabashige is like, there's a spy. Like, no way Toranaga could have known all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. There's no shot. No way. Find the spy. And then the actual spy is like, the gardener, like, look at all the stuff I found in his hut. He had to have been the spy. He was the spy. And Yabushige's like, where is the gardener? And they're like, the earthquake killed him. Oh, no. And Yabushige's like, well, I did it. Yeah, I took him out. I'm 3 for 3, honestly. The best character ever. I did it. I knew I'd get that spy sooner or later. Did I have to make the earthquake to do it? Maybe. You told me a story about catfish making the earthquake. I'm the best, man. And then in Osaka, the regents are like, who are we going to put on the council? And then Lady Ochiba arrives, and I'm like, who's this? And then that's why I'm Wayback Machine. It's the heir's mother. And she's like, I'm in charge. I'm the cat. Look at me. I'm the captain now. More or less, she's like, because she has a vendetta against one Yoshi Toranaga. And again, still waters run deep. And that's where we get in episode 6. We get the Mariko backstory. Mm-hmm. And it's a horrible backstory. Sorry. I mean, the episode, it's a banger. The episode's a banger, but right. Yeah. So we find out that Ochiba and Mariko are best friends. Mm-hmm. They grow up together. They practice. They were sisters. They were sisters, more or less. Unfortunately for Miss Ochiba, her father was on the wrong side of a internal conflict that resulted in her father, we find out, was the predecessor of the Taiko, who we know Mariko's father was not complicit in, did kill. Mm-hmm. But Ochiba believes that Mariko's father killed her father on behalf of Yoshi Toranaga. Mm-hmm. And that is where Ochiba's hatred for Toranaga stems. So she fully believes, even though Toranaga was doing the behest of the Taiko and protecting his son, she believes that Toranaga was truly holding her hostage and using her for his own personal gain. Was he? Eye emojis. And guess what? Guess what, Blackthorn? You've been promoted.
You've been promoted.
Not only do you have all the stuff you have now, you're getting your own fief, which is like land. Now you have land.
Nice.
And you're an admiral. Congratulations. You're the admiral of a fleet that we don't even have. Great work.
Can I go home? No.
Blackthorn's like, can I go to England, please? And Toranaga is like, no. No, you can't. And then Toranaga has a really nice moment with Mariko where he's like, look, your father wanted you to continue his mission and help me restore peace to Japan. Like, I know, like, obviously what happened to your dad was terrible. Like, he not murdered, but he was forced to execute your family, left you an orphan, but you are here for a reason. Believe that.
Believe that.
And then at Osaka Castle, are we hostages? Question mark.
Yeah, everybody starts looking around. They're like, you guys can't leave, right? And everybody's like, no, can you? And they're like, well, technically no. And everybody's like, ooh.
And Ishido's like, nobody's a hostage.
Can we go? No,
because the heir is in danger.
Right.
There's a plot to execute the heir, so everyone has to stay here.
And I wish somebody would have stood up and been like, I'm not that important to the plot. Can I go? And he's like, no, you can't.
Everyone stays here.
Why?
Hiramatsu is also there, and he's like, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, y'all take it easy. I'm out.
Hiramatsu, we also find out, is him, because he escapes Osaka, gets just volleys of arrows are being fired at him, and he gets out of there. He leaves everyone else behind. Man. And so Ochiba is watching this play of like her I struggle to even call it like an ascension. It's like her it's almost a rape. But like it's how she gave birth to the heir. You find out Taiko, not a great guy. He bedded hundreds of women according to the stories. Could not bear a child until Lady Ochiba was thrust upon him, and she was drugged somehow, some way, and these drugs gave her the ability to bear the child. Great backstory. So she sees this play, she's reliving all these memories, but they're not there to just watch the play. They're there to talk to Ito, the star of the show, and they're like, hey man, how would you like to replace Yoshi Toranaga on the Council of Regents? And he's like, yeah, I'm in. And then the Catholic regents are like, no. Again, they all have to agree unanimously, and they're like, we should not do this. Sorry. And Ishido's like, I just want to kill Toranaga.
Why is this so difficult?
Why is everyone making this difficult for me?
You guys also want him dead. And they're like, yeah. And then he's like, can we kill him? They're like, no.
So the one holdover is like, no, absolutely not. So he then attempts to flee Osaka, and he is killed. Weird.
Weird is right.
Ishido's like, what a tragedy.
Yeah. Dang it.
Look, do you guys want to vote for Ito? And they're like, yeah, I guess we'll vote for him. But guess what, guys? Guess what, fellas? Now we still only have 4 regions.
We should add a scene where like he goes into a room and just you hear a whole bunch of stuff breaking. He's just like, God, I can't do it.
Whatever, dude. All right. Back at Toranaga's camp, he's like, well, half my army is gone. There's only one option. Crimson Sky. A hush falls over the crowd. And everyone's
Execute Delta maneuvers.
Yeah. And everyone's like, what's Crimson Sky? What about? And Toranaga's like, everyone's like, you know how he's like the master strategist plan guy, right? Crimson Sky is we bum rush Osaka Castle and just kill as many people as possible. And they're like, that doesn't sound like a real plan. And Toranaga's like, it's the best plan I got. He's like, but the only reason I don't want to use it is because it involves invading Osaka Castle, slaughtering the Council of Regents, and installing me as sole leader of the thing.
We can't, fellas.
We can't have that.
Can't do that.
I don't want to do that.
I can't become the Shogun. It's wrong. Or is it?
Or is it? Because when they find out that our new Council of Regents guy dies, Toranaga's like, well, if I'm going to die anyway, I might as well go out. Crimson Sky it is. Let's roll, fellas. But before we Crimson Sky, I need to talk to my brother. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun is right.
So we get to episode 7. We find Toranaga flashback.
Buddy.
The boy warlord.
Buddy. Episode 7, boss. Sheesh.
Yeah. So we get a flashback of the boy warlord. We find out Toranaga won his first battle when he was 12, further establishing that he is indeed him. Toranaga meets his half-brother Psyche to strike up a deal. Like, what's left of my army, your army that doesn't do anything ever, you've never done anything a day in your life, I call this guy the swag lord. The swag lord rolled up with his all-white armor and his all-white samurai crew.
He said, who's rolling like this?
And his big helmet.
Yeah, he said, who's rolling up like this? They should have roll out by Ludacris playing in the background when he rolled up.
The swag lord showed up, and he's like, look, we're just gonna partner up and get together. Psyche has time to go to Yabushige and be like, remember how you sent your general, your one-eyed general, to talk to Ishido? Here's his head, pal. Yabushige's like, huh? Yabushige's like, you know what? Toranaga, not a bad guy.
Oh, man. He really held it down for us if we really want to think about it.
I love Toranaga. Have I always loved him? Yes.
Yes, because he's the best, guys, right?
Right? Toranaga? Oh, man. Yabushige, man, this guy. And he's like, well, all right. I guess I'm on Toranaga's side. Buntaro rolls up. This is a sad scene, but it's also kind of hilarious. Buntaro goes to Toranaga and he's like, I would like to kill Blackthorn, please. And Toranaga's like, no?
No, yeah.
Why?
Miss me with that? My favorite white boy. What are you talking about?
Buntaro's like, I think he likes my wife. And Toranaga's like,
that seems like a personal problem.
And Toranaga's like, are you kidding? And he's like, nah, I think he likes my wife. And Toranaga's like, okay, well, if you want to kill Blackthorn for that, are you also accusing Mariko of that? Because then you would also have to kill her. And Buntaro's like, no, I'm not accusing her of that. And then Toranaga's like, then get lost.
I wish it was like there's some door that Toranaga could have said. He's like, I got actual stuff to deal about. You're talking about some Real Husbands of Hollywood stuff. You need to miss me with that.
There's a couple instances in the next couple episodes where Blackthorn and Mariko's like life drama comes before Toranaga, and he's like, "Oh, everyone, get it together! Like, what is happening?" Like, but the scene with Buntaro was like hilarious, where he's just like, "Toranaga-san, I humbly request that you let me kill the engine." And miss me with that is probably the perfect response. I just love how he like. What did Buntaro think was going to happen?
Yeah. Oh, he thought he was going to be like, yes, kill him, you can kill the engine, and you can become Jaime Lannister of Japan again.
So then Buntaro leaves, and then Mariko was like, Toranaga, I humbly request that you let me kill myself. And Toranaga's like,
What is wrong with everybody? We got the greatest plan in human history about to happen, and you guys are worried about some family drama. What's going on?
Toranaga's like, no. What?
I just gave you that whole speech about you being so important you're gonna kill yourself.
I gotta go talk to my brother. This is ridiculous. So we get.
Oh, my son's not around. I'll punch him in the face. It pissed me off.
So we get to nighttime, fun time, and we're trading war stories. This is going great, and Psyche is like hyping up Toranaga. He's like, man, my brother, man, dude, oof. You should have seen him when he was 12. Dude, cut a man's head off, whink, just clean. It was the best. Bro, but did they also tell you about the time that my dad sold him off and he shit himself? Great. And everyone's like, ugh.
Our glorious king?
Toranaga's like,
You shouldn't finish that story.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
And his brother's like, tell me, bro, what is this plan, right? Like, what are you gonna give me? Like, you gonna give me some land? I take this land. Izo.
Yeah, you're gonna get the big old Osaka.
This is great. Izo is sick. Like,
these hot springs.
Meanwhile, Yabushige's like, wait a minute. I own Izo. What?
Yeah.
Huh? Not my frat house.
Yeah, Sigma Alpha. Yeah. No.
And then Saike's like, I don't want Izo, dude, because I already got a much better offer. A seat on the Council of Regents.
Dun, dun, dun. What?
And the crazy thing is, Toranaga doesn't even look surprised.
No, he's just like, we knew this was coming.
Of course.
This was coming, Pete.
Of course. So Sake's like, look, you'll surrender to Ishido, walk to Osaka, get your head chopped off. It'll be great. Deal? Toranaga's like, deal. You got me.
He surrenders.
He surrenders. And then that night, dude. So first off, we're at the hot spring. I love this. Again, Yabushige is the best. So Saike's men are bathing in the hot springs, and Yabushige rolls up and he's like, Fellas,
what's up? How we doing?
Man, your boss, he's a snake. He is no good. And Saike just rolls up and he's like, Snake, huh?
He said your boss is ugly, a snake, he's a traitor. Who called me ugly?
And Yabushige's like, ugh. And Sake's like, you are all gonna die.
Oh, fun.
Toodles. I'm going to the whorehouse. So he goes there, and so here we go. Nagakato and Omi shooting the shit before hatching a horrible plan. And Omi's like, dude,
No.
We're not even drunk this time, but you know what'd be sick? If you killed your uncle.
Yeah, because, like, that should be you, right? You wish that was you, ain't it?
Think about it. You would be the hero that saved Yoshi Toranaga from surrender. Like, your dad's not going to surrender. That ain't real.
No.
Your dad? Him? Capital H, capital I, capital M? No shot. And Nagakato's like, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. He's like, you know Kiku, right? And Omi's like, yeah. Nagakato's like, let me get in that tea house and I'll show Uncle Saike what's up. So Saike's chilling at the tea house, and here comes Nagakato and his crew attacking Saike. And then they get outside. Saike, you think he, like, oh, wait, Nagakato's gonna pull this off. He's gonna save his father. He slips, cracks his head open on a rock, and dies.
That's it.
Good. I'm glad he's dead.
The bumbling idiot went out like a bumbling idiot.
Or did he? Because guess what happens when your family dies in feudal Japan? Mm-hmm. You get 49 days of grieving period, of bereavement time, if you will. So
better than the American system, I'll give you that.
So Toranaga's been gifted 49 days to do nothing. Because guess what Toranaga's not going to do? Grieve his son for 49 days.
No, he's hatching a plan. He said, you guys give me 49 days to think?
And you know who's also thinking that? Ashido.
Yeah.
It's like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, idiots. This is 50 days. You know what can happen in 50 days?
Customs? Why are we doing customs? And they're like, we've always done customs, Ashido. I don't know what to tell you. And Ishido's like, fine. He goes to Chiba and he's like, marry me, please. And she's like, I'll think about it. And yeah, this is the episode where Toranaga sends Mariko and Blackthorn to the tea house, right?
Yes.
Great. Because Toranaga is sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
He's also sick.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? The travel, they say, made him sick. That guy got sick. He caught the allergies all of a sudden.
Yeah, him getting allergies is crazy. But allergies in 1600 is like getting is like having, basically like getting shot.
So Toranaga's like, I'm done with the drama. Mariko, take Blackthorn to Kiku, please. She'll set him straight. And then there's a real romantic tension thing going on with these three. It seems like...
I love the challengers.
The vibe is that Kiku is telling Blackthorn, like, she's like marriage counseling Blackthorn and Mariko, right? Mm-hmm. That's the vibe you got?
A little bit.
Where she's like telling them kind of both, like, you love each other, like, kind of just let it happen. And then
sure,
Blackthorn goes into the room with Kiku and we both don't think they did anything.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's a point I'm going to make when we're kind of surmising everything. And it's the adaptation of Blackthorn as the show goes on to this calmness. He kind of, not only does he adopt like the culture and customs of Japan, he adopts a lot of Mariko's, nuance and subtleties. He adopts a lot of those things. Like, he's not as brash, he's not as barbaric as he was. So I don't think he did, like, that whole, the joking line, like, it's like, that's not proper. Like, I think he actually starts to adopt some of those things as he goes on.
And in that respect, he also really loves Mariko.
Yeah, he does.
He was not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pivotal scene too, I believe. I think it is in this episode or the episode before, where he's talking about he has 2 kids. He already has 2 kids in England, and he said, I haven't met my daughter yet. I know my son. I've not met my daughter, which obviously tells us he might not really love that woman he might not really love that woman in England. That might just been, cultural, like, you have to have a wife and children. Like, Mariko, he actually loves this woman.
Yeah. And it's also in one of these episodes, 7 or 8, that we get that pivotal scene at the beach where Toranaga's with his war council and he formally surrenders, and Blackthorn pipes up and he's like, behold, the great, what does he say? The great master of trickery, Yoshi Toranaga, the man who condemned his most loyal vassals to death. And that's a really powerful scene because, like, Blackthorn has bought in, you know what I mean, to Toranaga, and he's like, even Blackthorn can't believe, like, Toranaga's giving up without a fight. And it's a really interesting scene that bleeds into this episode because at Nagakato's funeral, a bunch of Toranaga's generals wear their armor, which is a form of protest to the surrender. And this escalates. This episode's really heavy, man. This is the episode Buntaro invites Mariko to a tea ceremony. Yeah,
man. This episode has 2 moments. This episode has 2 absolutely...
This episode has a couple moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Buntaro talks to Mariko and he makes her tea, which is like a huge gesture of the husband making the wife tea. And she compliments him and she's like, great job. Good pouring. And Buntaro's like, I am sorry for being the worst. Yeah. And I totally understand if you want me to die, but if I'm gonna die, if we're gonna die, can it just be together? Because that's all you've ever wanted. That's all I want. I just want us to be done. And Mariko's like, you don't get it. Like, you don't get my misery. You don't get your role in my misery. Yeah. Like, I would rather either die and you be stuck here without me fighting your samurai life, or I would rather live 1,000 years without you than to be stuck either on Earth or in the afterlife with you. I don't want to be with, around, or near you. Thank you for the tea. And she leaves. And Buntaro weeps. And you're just like, wow. Like, do I feel bad for him? Kinda. Because, like, it's that scene that kind of tells you, like, he does kind of love her. Like, in his own way. Right. And she just ate full offense. Just is totally closed off to any of it. It's crazy. Yeah. It's a crazy scene that unfolds. Blackthorn finds his crew. Yeah. As well. And
unfortunately for me, that was the mirror. Blackthorn finally got the mirror up to himself. I was this when I got here. I was this person.
Drunk, belligerent,
disrespectful, dishonorable. Like, this is who I was, and I had to fight so hard to get out of this too. And that's, classic hero's journey. He finally rejects the past. He rejects this past that he once knew, his men that he once knew, and he, the hero gets given the false. It's like the Craig Mazin way of thinking about screenwriting. Like, the hero gets the false. Like, they finally get the thing that they thought they wanted, and it was false. Like, it was it was the monkey paw. Like, no, this is not what you look. You got your men. They're scumbags. They're scoundrels. Like, these are not the men that you need around you.
You're better than this.
You are better than this.
You're better than this now. He beats this guy up. Yeah. He leaves part of his guard with him. He's like, clean yourself up. Like, you're filthy. Like, this is gross. He's like, let's get out of here. Like, I'm going back to... You would think he's going back to Toranaga, but he's not. He's going to see Big Yabs. Yep. And he's like, look, bro, you're the only one I can count on, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, and Yabashige is like, you're dang right I am. I am
He's
the
like,
only one
you know
can
it,
count on."
I know it. Toranaga ain't no chicken. You and me, we're teaming up.
Yep.
And Yabushige's like,
Heck yeah, brother.
my man, I have no idea what you just said, but
It sounded good. Let's do
it sounded really cool. Let's go. We're out. Where are we going? And Yabushige's like, we're going to Osaka, baby. Where else are we gonna go? We're gonna go talk to Ishido, and we're gonna be like, hey, take my ship, please. Blackthorn's like, great plan. Great plan, man. Well, initially Yabushige refuses, right? Mm-hmm. Yabushige's like, I'm loyal to Toranaga. Never. And then the scene happens.
Boss. Buddy.
Holy moly. So Toranaga is sitting there with his generals. Hiromatsu's there. Omi is there. Yabushige is there. They're all there. And Toranaga's like, guys, Crimson Sky, it was cool. It was a cool concept, but that ain't the way. I gotta give up. Mm-hmm. I gotta surrender. Like, I'm sick. My son is dead. My brother turned on me. Like, I know you guys want to believe I have a big plan, but the truth is, fellas, I have no plan. And all the generals are like, we cannot do this. And Toranaga's like, have you no loyalty, you fools, to me? And the general's like, it's because of our loyalty that we refuse to let you do this. And Hiromatsu pipes up, and he's like, you've been my guy. I've been your guy for decades. I've watched you grow, and I cannot oblige this. I cannot. I'm sorry. I would rather die than see you surrender. And Toranaga's like, see you die I will then, I suppose, old friend.
Yep. And Hiromatsu's there, and he's like, bring me my swords.
Bring my swords, my son, Buntaro.
Yep. He'll be my second. And Buntaro's like, Dad, what are you doing?
I've been through enough today.
Yeah, what are you doing, Dad?
And Hiromatsu's like, last chance.
Yep.
Like, are you going to surrender? And Toranaga's like, you?
The face that everybody says, when he says, I'm going to, I'll commit seppuku at once. Everybody's face is like, shit, no shot, right? No shot he's actually going to do this, right?
No shot he's going to do this.
Even Toranaga was like, oh, I like this. I like this action.
I love a game.
You won't.
And Toranaga's like, so be it. Like, if that's how you feel, it's been an honor, my friend. And brutal scene where Hiromatsu commits seppuku and kills himself.
Score that starts to ramp up as it's going too.
Close-up shot, carves himself. Buntaro chops his head off. You see the head roll towards Toranaga, and Toranaga just cold as ice. Mm-hmm. Sits there, and man, it's a tough scene. And then we get eye emojis. Mariko's like, what was that? Like, you just sacrificed Hiromatsu? And Toranaga's like, in order for my enemies to believe that I've actually surrendered, Hiromatsu had to do what he did. Mm-hmm. Because he's the only one that I could afford to lose, where people would believe that I'm actually out. Mm-hmm. So yes, it is. That was it. And then Yabushige is like, holy shit, Hiromatsu just killed himself. Yeah. Blackthorn, dude, we gotta go to Osaka.
Yeah, man. That was great. Man, did you see that? Man, you should have been there.
I didn't actually think it would happen. Dude, that was wild.
He is like a frat guy, Yabushige.
He's like, we gotta go, man. Let's go. We gotta get out of here. And then Toranaga, and then Mariko shows up on the boat, and Yabushige is like, ugh. And Mariko's like, Toranaga has asked me to go with you to Osaka. And that's how you know. That's how you know. Because Toranaga tells Mariko, are you ready to do your part? And then he goes to the grave of his son, and he goes, thank you, son. You and Hiromatsu both gave me time, and I will not waste it. And that's how you know, like, he is him. He is him, after all.
Transition into an episode that is rated a 9.5 on IMDb.
Crimson Sky.
One of the highest rated episodes of television there has ever been. Buddy.
Yep. Crimson Sky. Blackthorn, Mariko, and Yabushige arrive in Osaka. They sit before Ishido. Yabushige makes his pitch. I love this scene because Yabushige is like, look, I know. Look, we've had our differences. It's been tough. But me and Blackthorn, we could work for you. You could have the ships, the cannons, the guns. Huh? I could hang out. I could be in charge of Izo on your behalf.
He said you already are in charge of Izo, but I would be under you now, so it's everything works out.
And Ishido's just like, no. And Yabushige just goes, oh, well, we tried. And Blackthorn's like, what the hell was that? That's the plan? That was it? So they go sit back down.
Yeah.
And then Mariko walks in, and she's like, on behalf of Yoshi Toranaga, I formally request that his wives and myself be allowed to return to Osaka to assist him in the grieving period, or return to Edo in the grieving period. And Ishido's like, nope, Toranaga's had enough time to grieve. I'm sick of it. Now I'm supposed to grieve because his right hand killed himself? No one's leaving Osaka. And Mariko's like,
well, that's not tradition.
It's not tradition. Are we hostages? And Ishido's like, what?
No, I don't. What did he say in Thor Ragnarok? He said the slaves. No, don't. He's like, what? Hostages? No.
Mariko and Ochiba have a nice little moment where she's like, you can stop this. Like, Ochiba, you can stop this. And Ochiba just remains silent. And she's like, Mariko, remember those poetry competitions we used to have when I was a kid, when we were kids, and you would always win. Like, you were always the best. She's like, we're going to have one tonight. Like, why don't you stick around and we'll have a good old poetry contest. And Mariko's like, well, no, because if I'm to be forbidden from obeying the orders of my liege lord Toranaga, then I dishonored him, I've dishonored myself, and I have to die. And if I die, you might have a revolt of all the high families of Japan on your hands, you know? And Ishido's like, no.
But if I stay alive, but I'm not allowed to leave, then everybody's going to think they're hostages, and then that's a problem? He's like, I see the pickle you've put me in, and I don't like it.
And Toranaga's over in Edo just... we got him.
You think he's like sitting on the chair, he's like, you guys think my plan worked yet? He's like, nah, give it a little I think my plan's working.
And she's like, I'm leaving Osaka or die trying. And she tells Blackthorn,
she tried.
And she tells Blackthorn beforehand, she's like, look, whatever happens, do not intervene. That's foreboding. Yeah. The gates open the next morning. Mariko's posseed up with Toranaga's wives. His newborn son is there. She's given birth off screen. And Mariko starts leaving, and she's confronted by Ishido's men.
And she's like, you guys know I'm leaving, right? And they're like, but boss said you can't. So, like, we kind of can't. And she's like, it sounded like you didn't listen to what I just said, like, 10 seconds ago. So, like I said, I'm leaving. And you guys can't stop me.
And they try. And she turns to her guard and she's like,
please kill them.
Please kill these men.
And buddy.
Massacre.
Yeah. This is where
but not in the way that you would think it would go. Like, you would think like, oh, Mariko's men are going to overpower them and that'll be that. But they just get hilariously outnumbered and outgunned. And they're all cut down. Pretty much all of them die. Blackthorn and Yabushige are watching. Like, a bunch of people are watching. The Catholic regent is there. Lord Kiyama's there. Because her and Mariko have the Catholicism thing going. And she's the last one standing. And she puts her arm out, gets her blade, and she's like, well,
I'm leaving.
If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. But she can't. She's overpowered. She says these men are too strong. There's too many. Like, we have to turn back. And because we have to turn back, I have dishonored my lord, and I will commit seppuku at sunset. And Ochiba is there, and she witnesses this, and she summons Mariko and Blackthorn. She summons Blackthorn, knowing that Mariko is going to come, and she quickly dismisses Blackthorn. She's like, I never wanted you here. This is between me and Mariko. And she's like,
I'm trying to learn my Japanese. Like, can I stay?
She's like, can you not kill yourself? And Mariko's like, you can stop this. Like, I don't understand why you hate Toranaga so much. And she's like, you know why. And Mariko's like, dude, Ishido, from my perspective, Ishido is evil. And then you are lost. So yeah, they don't get to a common ground, but you can kind of see it's starting to chip away at Ochiba a little bit. Like, her lifelong friend is so beholden to Toranaga that, like, she's like, maybe he's not the evil that I think that he is. And Toranaga has also been speaking with Father Alito. Father Alito's like, hey, you should try to forge an alliance with Ochiba. And Toranaga's like, no, it's not. It's not going to happen. Like, she hates my guts. And she's like, Alito's like, you have Mariko, though. You do have Mariko. And then we get to the scene. Oh, the scene in the seppuku house. I don't know what's going on here. Is this like the room where that just happens?
Yeah.
The deed is done.
They, like, dedicate a room to it.
She leaves her last poem. And she's like, all right, time to kill myself. Lord Kiyama, will you please step forward and be my second? Lord Kiyama? Hello? Testing? Shang-Chi? Lord Kiyama no-shows because Mariko's like, we're both Catholics, and in Catholicism, it's a sin to kill yourself. Like, you know where I'm going. So she asks Father Alito for confession beforehand. He gives it to her, and she's like, I don't deserve it. Like, I don't deserve confession. Like, and then Blackthorn steps up. He's like, I'll do it. I'll be the second. And that is probably the most powerful moment in the show to this point. Blackthorn stepping up to be Mariko's second, like, knowing what's about to happen. Like, for him to do that. Like,
yeah, he traveled all this way to this land where he, himself also fell hostage, thrown into this civil war as this fish out of water. And, the only person he's taken to, he's loved, and now he has to take her life. Like, that's, just like poetry, it rhymes.
And she's about to do it.
I'm gonna do it.
And then Ishido walks in and throws papers down on the ground. He's like,
okay.
Stop being so dramatic. Like, get up.
Leave. I don't even care anymore.
Your papers. And then Toranaga's wives are like, hey, can we also leave? And he's like, apply for your permits. You can all leave. Just everyone annoying me. I just want to go to bed.
Again, in my head, I love the fact that Ishido's character is just like he's just over everything.
At this point, he's like, I
don't care about the throwing. I don't care about anything. I
don't even want to kill Toranaga anymore.
I just want a good night's sleep. That's what I want.
God. People.
Why is everybody so annoying?
But before I go to bed, Yabushige.
Come here.
Let's
talk.
Let's chat. Yabushige's like, huh? And Ishido's like, look, I will give you whatever you want. Just take Mariko, please. Don't kill her, because that'll be a problem. Just get in there. I don't care how. Just let my guys in. I got guys. I got other guys. Not like normal guys.
Yeah.
Secret guys.
Yeah. Ones would call them ninjas.
Huh? Ninjas?
The shinobi are here, and they don't mess around. See that guy? That guy's like 6'2". He's a unit.
So the ninjas will go in. They'll kidnap Mariko.
They'll kill Blackthorn.
Well, packed up. Like,
don't worry about it, sweetheart. We got you. We got
this. And Yabushige's like, yes, I'm in. Am I alive? Ishido's like, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And Yabushige's like, great, I'm in. So nightfall happens. Blackthorn and Mariko profess their love for each other. It's a sweet scene.
Yeah, it is. They pillow.
Yeah, they do. And then Yabushige kills one of Toranaga's men and opens the back door.
And then the shinobi start.
The ninjas show up.
The ninjas show up. And when I thought this show couldn't get any cooler.
Ninjas.
Actual ninjas in here. And
they give me ninjas. This show. And then the ninjas just start killing everybody. And then Blackthorn wakes up and he's like...
Blackthorn had like a vision of John Wick. And like they switched spots for a little bit.
And he was like...
Blackthorn wakes up. Diverts one of the knives from him, kicks the guy, pulls out the gun, point blank, broad daylight, baby, boom.
He's like, I forgot I still had these blammers on me, son. Kablam on the screen shows up as he kills this first ninja. Chekhov's gun has officially fired. Blackthorn finally got to use the blammers.
Ooh, you looking for this?
We've been waiting all season.
And not only does he use them, he's elite. He is
the one thing he does well is use the guns, which makes sense. Because he can't use a sword to save his life.
Any type of artillery? Yeah, why don't you guys say so? God.
I can just shoot these guys.
I've been respectful this whole time. I could have killed mad people.
I got the gats. Sheesh. Blackthorn starts popping off with the pistols. It's great. We've been waiting all season for those things to be used. And he finally uses them, and it's awesome. They fight off the ninjas, but there's just too many ninjas. They lock themselves into a storeroom, and then Mariko's like, they're going to blow the door and kill us all. How? I don't know.
They had a claymore.
Ninja's packing some C4. Blackthorn's like, not on my watch. Starts pushing a box, and he's like, Yabushige, help me. Yabushige's like, no speak English. And everyone's like, wait, did he double cross us? Yabushige's like, huh?
I can't understand anything.
What? And Mariko's like, there's no time for this. She gets up against the door, and she says, I, Toda Mariko, blah, 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 do condemn myself to death. This is it. And kablam! And that's the end of the episode.
Buddy.
Dude.
My reaction was priceless.
The last 20 minutes from that, like from her in the seppuku room to that, are patently insane. It's insane television. And then episode 10 comes up, and we open not on the aftermath, on an elderly John Blackthorn, sometime presumably in the future, presumably back in England.
Yep. His two grandsons
talking about how
they're looking at. He has a whole bunch of memorabilia. I don't like to call it memorabilia, but he's got a whole bunch of stuff from Japan. I believe he still has the swords. He still has Fuji's father's swords, because you learn that those swords were Fuji was not being truthful, or she wasn't told the truth. Those swords mean nothing. They were bought for absolutely nothing. They're not real. Man, oh man. I hear people call this finale boring. It's not. Nope. This might be one of the best finales that I've seen in something. It's an emotional tethering of everything that's happened. It ties every loose end that you can ask for.
Yep.
But still leaves some kind of open. You want to tie the shoe, you can. If you don't, that's fine. Yabushige loses his mind. Not yet, though, but...
Poor guy.
Poor guy. Is he a poor guy?
He's guilt-ridden. He is shell-shocked from a massive explosion. And then Ishido just shows his scumbagginess, and he's just like, hey, Yabushige, you look well. Well? And then Yabushige's like...
Loses it.
Yeah, he's like, the earthquake, man. The earthquake is crazy. Remember the earthquake? The big earthquake? It happened when the Taiko was going to go to war with Toranaga. Remember? And then the earthquake happened, and they sued for peace, the Taiko and Toranaga. Like, it was crazy. And then Toranaga said it was the catfish from the pond that caused the earthquake. That catfish right there. And Ishido's like, oh.
He's gone.
He's cooked.
He's gone. Uh-oh. One of my best pals. He's now cooked and gone. So the downfall, one of the things that the writers said was Yabushige's character was based off of Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems, and then, the more the show unfolds, you see it, and you unfortunately have to see it in its demise in episode 10. That's where you truthfully get to see everything, like that final scene that, Adam Sandler's character has in Uncut Gems where, the Celtics game happens and, everything's going his way until, it just doesn't. That's exactly what happens too. It's really well done. It's extremely well done.
Yeah, Mariko is buried. The council votes to declare war on Toranaga. Ishido says we have the heir, like the heir's army, the heir's banners, make sure that we're on the right side of the law, essentially. And the rest of the regions are like, I guess, yeah, but this is bad still. Blackthorn leaves Osaka with Yabushige and Toranaga's consorts because Mariko made a deal with the Portuguese. In exchange for Blackthorn's life, he would leave, essentially. He gets back to Ojiro, and the Erasmus has been destroyed.
Yeah. Who could have done that?
Those damn Catholics must have done this. Omi confronts Yabushige, and he's like, your swords, please. Wouldn't want to make a mess in front of the Chancellor. Yabushige's like, what do you mean? He's like, Toranaga wants to talk to you. And Yabushige's like, oh boy, okay. Sure. So Blackthorn's like, what is going on here? This is crazy. And they're like, well, your ship got destroyed, so someone had to have done this. So Toranaga's been executing villagers until we can find out who did this. Sorry. So Toranaga confronts Yabushige one last time, and he's like, did you aid Ishido in killing Mariko? And Yabushige's like, I did do that.
Sorry, boss.
And Toranaga's like, fine. You lose all your land.
No, not Sigma Alpha Yabushige. No. We're going to throw a Rager tonight, man. Dang it.
Omi is taking over your stuff.
Homie?
He's my guy now. He's my new Yabushige. And you will commit seppuku at sunset. And Yabushige's like, seppuku, really?
Come on.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
You know my.
Yeah, let's get nuts.
You know my style.
Yeah, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Feed me to the dogs.
Yeah, let's do something cool.
Throw me off a cliff. That'd be sick. Let the cannon practice. One last cannon practice for the fellas. On old Yabs. Blow me to bits.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty sick.
Yeah. He's like, no.
Tornaga's like, no. I can't trust you with any of that.
I'm getting too old for this crap.
You will kill yourself at sunset, like I said. Who will be your second? He's like, Blackthorn, my guy.
Yeah. That handsome white devil. Get him in here.
Remember that day when I boiled your boy alive? We're friends.
Yeah.
And Tornaga's like, no. Blackthorn will not be your second. And he's like, well, will you be my second? And Tornaga's like, I shall.
Yeah.
Yes,
I will.
Wasn't
planning on it, but I got you.
I'm good for it.
Yeah.
I beheaded some guy when I was 12.
I'm not doing anything later, I don't think.
I'm him.
Yeah. I'm still in my bereavement. I don't got anything to do.
What an honor for you to be beheaded by me.
Yeah.
Tornaga ho!
Yeah.
Or whatever those guys said before. Blackthorn reunites with Fuji in what is my favorite scene of the entire show.
Yeah, it's so good.
From like a crafting lens, it's my favorite scene in the show when they're chatting. They can barely understand each other. They understand each other to a degree. They pan out wide and this is just a great use of empty space. Fuji, Blackthorn, empty third of where Mariko would be, and Blackthorn says in Japanese, no translator, and my heart broke because like this whole episode, especially on Blackthorn's part, you actually feel her absence. The whole episode, you feel Mariko's absence through Blackthorn. Like you can just amazing facial acting out of Cosmo Jarvis here. He wears the grief insanely well, and he asks Fuji to stay and just kind of hang out. And she's like, no, my service is done. Lord Toranaga has given me permission to be a nun, and that's what I'm going to do. And Blackthorn, kind of playfully like exudes his Hatamoto power, and he's like, I command you to stay, like not in a serious way, but he just doesn't want to lose anyone else, and she's like, I'm sorry, but I'm going. And he says, Fuji, best nun, he says to her. And it's a really, really good scene that segues to them going out onto the water, but I can talk about it now. Blackthorn packages up her the urns of her husband and late son, and they take it out into the water, and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, let me do this last thing for you. Like, you've done so much for me, let me do this thing for you. Let me take you out onto the water. We'll give your son and husband like a burial, like give them back to the land. Like, and to your point, this shows Blackthorn's growth that he's doing this. They dump the ashes into the water, and he picks up Mariko's rosary. And this is where the future timeline thing, is it real? Is it a dream? This is where we find out it's just a dream that he's having of what he thinks his life would be like if he went back to England, because he takes Mariko's rosary, and then Fuji grabs his hand and mirrors the words that Mariko said to her way back when, let your hands be the last ones that hold her. and he dumps her rosary into the water.
What are we cooking?
It was a beautiful.
You want to talk about payoff, like the idea and the ideology of payoff? Most people think the ideology of payoff needs to be, satisfaction. In my opinion, does not equate to feeling good. That satisfaction is finality. That's what satisfaction is, in my opinion. So, it's the finality of this whole sequence. There's a incredible silhouette shot when Blackthorn he this is the last time, or is it? This is the last time. He's praying. He's meditating. Like, who is this? Who is this man? Like, this is a character arc. This is one of the best character arcs that you will see. And oftentimes we talk about it here. Sometimes it doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be some complex thing. Like, layman's terms speaking, like, it's simple. Like, it's predictable, sure. Like, that the white barbarian comes to the land, learns the land, but, like, it's the level of grace that he adopts from Mariko. It's allegorical. It's, like, what he adopts from these screenwriters getting there and these story crafters getting there, and it's also, he's taking from, he took from Mariko all this grace that she had. She could have had every right, and she was capable herself physically to, handle herself, but it's not the way.
He didn't even just learn from Mariko. He also learned from, like, Father Alito.
Yeah, yep.
Like, he learned to kind of...
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that scene of the two
the forest,
of them in the forest.
And he learns to just put aside the differences between them, and he goes, when I essentially read Mariko her last rites, and I prayed not to your God, not to my God, just to God. And Father Alito's like, I think she would be happy, like, to see us getting along like this.
And he said, unfortunately, she never will, and we never will.
Yeah, it's a really powerful scene. And a sequence of powerful scenes, because before, we talked about the Fuji stuff in sequence, but before that sequence, Blackthorn goes back to Toranaga, and he had Fuji help him prepare, like, a statement in Japanese, and our old man is there, old man samurai, the spy is there, and he's like, oh, Toranaga might be, this might be a difficult conversation for a simple farmer to translate. And Toranaga's like, you can tell him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, thank God. All right, here's the deal. I am one of Toranaga's most trusted samurai advisors. He sent me to be ingratiated into the Catholic Church for a long time to study the Portuguese. And, pretty good ruse. And Blackthorn's like, oh, can't take any more ruses.
I want to go home.
But my ship is burned. And now you're killing villagers to find the people who did it. Can you just stop killing the villagers? I betrayed you, okay, Toranaga? It was me. I'm the enemy. I've been feeding you nonsense since the day I stepped off that ship. It's me. So either spare these villagers, or I will die. I will commit seppuku right here, right in front of you. And Toranaga's like,
you won't.
I love this game.
You won't.
I let Hiramatsu kill himself. You think I'm going to let you kill yourself? Yeah, you think I'm above this? And Blackthorn's like, I'll do it.
And then he starts doing it, and Toranaga's like, whoa. Relax.
He punches Blackthorn. Yeah. He's like, are you finished? Are you finished, like, feeling sorry for yourself or whatever this is? Build your ship.
Mm-hmm. And make me a fleet.
Oh. And then we get to one last hurrah for Big Yobs. He talks to Ome and he's like, man, who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought it'd come to this?
I'm going out like this, man. Holy crap.
And you son of a gun.
Yeah.
My nephew. You're like the son I never had. I love you, man.
Yeah.
Look, before I give you my will, is my last poem, my death poem, if you will. And Omi reads it, and it's like, my death, my body, don't bury me, feed me to the dogs. And not just dogs, like, not my dogs, just leave me in a field, random dogs killing me. And Omi looks up at Yabushika. Yabushika's like, not bad.
Yeah. Look, is this the first rap bar in human history? Maybe.
I am a lyrical wordsmith, if I do say so myself.
Listen, Yabushige, that's a good name. I can get a label to pick me up after this. Not bad.
if I'm going out,
I'm going out like this.
dude, that, and Omi's like, this guy.
Imagine he looks at me, he's like, 6 out of 10?
And then Yabushige's like, all right, my will though. Here, look, I've been working on this. This is the one. Guys, 30 wills later, this is the one. This is the one. Read it. It's good. And Omi's like, you're giving me everything? And Yabushige's like, you didn't think. Me and Toranaga, master strategists. I wrote all those wills without any of them having you in it because you thought I wouldn't leave you anything. Turns out I left you it all, Omi. Omi the homie. That's what I call him. So he rolls up on Toranaga. Toranaga's sitting in like a lawn chair.
Yeah. Where'd you get that?
And Yabushige's like, look at us. 2 bros.
Hanging out, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool.
Best friends. Best buds, if you will, and Toranaga's like...
he pulls the... Well, I'm definitely your best... You're definitely my best friend, but I'm not your best friend. But
Toranaga's like, kill yourself, please.
Yeah.
Yabushige's like, whoa!
Dinner's in like 30 minutes. Can we...
Yabushige's like, look. I'm gonna kill myself, right? Not a debate. But can you just fill me in on like a couple details?
What's the plan? Because you know some stuff.
And Toranaga's like, look, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I burned Blackthorn's ship. Yabushige's like, why? And Toranaga's like, he needed to stay here. He needed to be given purpose in Japan. Like, he had to stay here. And he's like, Mariko? What was that about? And he's like, she also had to die because I've got a secret letter from Lady Ochiba that she has pulled her banners from support of Ashido. And then we see, while Toranaga's explaining this, we see what's presumably a flash forward of the war. And he's like, we'll meet on the field of battle, Ashido and I, but he will get a letter that day that says that the heir has lost faith and has pulled his troops, and Ashido will have no banners, no one to fight for. He will be alone, and he will lose. And the regents will fall soon after him. And Yabushige's like, that would make you Shogun. And Toranaga's like, I never wanted to be Shogun. It was never my plan, but if it were, I would start by making Edo my seat of power. And then Toranaga just goes on this rant of everything he would do if he had absolute power. But he doesn't want it.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just spitting right now.
I didn't ask for this.
Very Dexter-esque of him.
It's been thrust upon me, you see. And Yabushige says, you're no better than us in your secret heart.
Yep. That was the line I was waiting for you to get to.
You're no better than us in your secret heart. Like, you just wanted to be all-powerful, just like the rest of us. And Toranaga's like, hey.
It is what it is.
And Yabushige's like, so what happens next? Like, what happens after that? And Toranaga unsheathes his sword, puts it to Yabushige's neck, and says, why tell a dead man in the future? And I was like, damn, he is him.
He is him. What a line.
And Yabushige's like, that was pretty good.
This actually is a cool way to die.
Yeah, I should have said that in my death poem. That was pretty good.
Can I get like 15 minutes?
I gotta tell Omi about this one. Hold on.
Yeah.
Can I just tell Omi that line?
I won't tell him the play. I promise.
And Toranaga's like, nah. And Yabushige's like, well, boom! No ceremony, no nothing. Yabushige just whips out the knife, stabs himself in the chest, cuts himself open. Toranaga chops his... Well, before he does that, the dead man line, Yabushige's like, we were pretty good, weren't we? Mm-hmm. And Toranaga gives him like a smile, like, yeah, you are.
I bet we were fun.
But before that, Yabushige goes, and what's the deal with Blackthorn? Like, what's that about? And Toranaga just says, he makes me laugh.
Yeah.
He's a fun guy. I'm a fun guy.
Yeah, I'm a fun guy.
He makes me laugh, and he's nice to have around, I guess. I'll probably have to burn his ship down a few more times. He'll build it again. I'll keep burning it down.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's going to get bored, so he'll keep serving me while I do this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good life we live. He says one other thing, too. Well, Yabushige says, how does it feel to shape the wind to your will? And Toranaga's like, that's not what this is. Mm-hmm. I study it. It's, that's how I'm presumably however many steps ahead.
Okay. And that's Shogun. Greatest show ever.
But Blackthorn pulls his ship out of the sea.
Yeah, he does. And then
Buntaro helps.
Yeah. Buntaro pulls up, he's like, I got you, bro.
Yeah, I don't know how Buntaro was the one that, like, got the...
Because he's him? What, didn't we go over that Buntaro is... He's like the Jamie Lannister of samurais? He's him.
And then Blackthorn looks into the distance. Man, Yabashige death scene was tough, man. Pour one out for my guy Yabs. And the conviction, just boom, done. Why tell a dead man in the future? Yabashige is like, that was a bar. I'm killing myself.
About killing myself.
Toranaga beheads him, and Toranaga's just like, man, he was fun.
Yeah. Damn, that was my guy. Omi just doesn't have that juice to him. He doesn't have that sauce.
So yeah, they pull the Erasmus, and Blackthorn's like, I knew we could do it. Look at that ship. It's the best ship. He goes Donald Trump, full Donald Trump. The best ship, the greatest ship. It's in a heap.
A ship like this.
It's in a heap, but it's fine. It's the best ship. And then he looks up, he sees Toranaga in the distance, and they kind of just like look at each other. And Blackthorn's like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, Blackthorn's like, I'm going to be here for a while, aren't I?
And Toranaga's just like,
yeah.
Shogun. Shows up on the screen. And that's it.
That's it.
We talked for almost 3 hours about this show.
What was it? Oh, I was gonna say that. You know who Toranaga is? He's like you said, he's like if Ned Stark was smart, but also if he was Littlefinger. That's exactly who Toranaga is.
He's more like he's a less evil Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, good point.
Like he has the Tywin Lannister isms. He even does the Tywin Lannister like thing, right? Where like the whole like,
you know who he's like? He's kind of like a less drunk version of Robert Baratheon, because at least Robert knew what had to be done when things had to be done.
Well, like, Tyrion in Game of Thrones confronts Tywin after the Red Wedding, and he's like, "You slaughtered Robb Stark and Catelyn Stark and his family like at a wedding or like at a dinner," and Tywin Lannister's like, "What's more noble, killing 12 people at dinner or 1,000 people dying on the battlefield? Like I beat the Starks without the war." Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what Toranaga does. He sacrifices Mariko and Hiramatsu and Yabashige and his son, and who knows who else, because he couldn't beat Ishido in a war if the heir was still loyal. But also his mission statement was bring true peace to Japan without the need for war. And he did that. Presumably. I mean, we're never going to get a follow-up of what Toranaga's rule looks like, but presumably he ushers in an era of peace in Japan. Mm-hmm. So?
Say
it. Like,
he got the job done.
He might be a liar and a manipulator and hiding behind this shield of nobility, saying like, I don't want to be shogun, like I just want what's best for Japan. But in his mind, what's best for Japan is him being in charge. And that's what Yabashige says to him at the end. You're no different than the rest of us in your secret heart, because
every man has 3 hearts.
It's Toranaga's motif. The heart in your mouth that you show the world, the heart in your chest that you show your closest allies, and your secret heart that you reveal to no one. And that's what Yabashige is getting at. Like you hid your true ambitions from all of us, even like Mariko and Hiramatsu. But I get the feeling that Mariko knew. I think.
Sure, but she wasn't opposed to it because she wanted to die. She was not opposed to anything that was going on anyway. But
I think ultimately she knew Toranaga's ultimate ambitions. I mean, she was literally there from day one, from when he essentially overthrew the previous leader of Japan. You know? Mm-hmm. And it ends without a big battle. I think everyone was expecting big battle.
The massive, third act. Let's get this popping off. Like, that's not what this show was. It never was.
No. Toranaga's mission statement was always peace.
This show showed incredible restraint as well. Because, like I said, most other filmmakers would have, the comedic moments would have been too much. The big battles would have been these big, grandiose battles at the stake of, character. And,
I mean, a lot of the quote-unquote big battle sequences are like quiet assassinations.
And quick.
Like the Shinobi Assault is probably the biggest quote unquote action sequence in the entire show. You got Nagakato's coup with the cannons is another big one, but it's over in like a second or two, like a few seconds.
Right.
You got the original assassination attempt on Blackthorn. Like, those are really your big action. There's the fight in the woods.
Right.
But again, that's not overly long. You got Buntaro's last stand, which you never really see.
Right.
So yeah, just shows just so character centric, so character focused. And those relationships and those machinations. It's outstanding.
That was Shogun.
I mean, I'll sum this. We'll do an abridged version of awards, just very briefly. What's your favorite episode?
Episode 9 is just it's money. It's everything that this show, you know, the action, you know, filmmaking wise, you know, character wise, emotions, you know, everything that you want out of a penultimate episode. Like, thinking about penultimate episodes, this might be the strongest that I've seen. Like, setting up a finale, where, you know what it does for the finale? It takes the need for that action out of the finale, and it replaces it with the overt need for, I need the emotional resolution of this. I don't need a physical resolution to anything that's going on.
Yeah, I think in terms of penultimate episodes, it is going back to the Thrones comparison. It's up there with season 1, episode 9, the Baylor episode, the execution of Ned Stark.
Yeah, yep.
I think it really stands up there with that episode, which, in my opinion, is the best penultimate episode of any show ever.
You weren't expecting, and again, I was not expecting Mariko to die like that.
Yeah, because they do the fake out with her seppuku attempt, where it culminates in this, and then Ishido bails her out, so you think she's just going to go back to Osaka, and that's going to be that. But no, like, they have one more trick up their sleeve, and it's her death. So, I would say episode 8 for me.
Yeah.
Just so many moments. Buntaro and Mariko's scene, the scene with what's her name, Daioin, when she has the stroke, and she talks to Ochiba, and she's like, don't trust this Shido, and like, please just end the suffering, and then culminating in Hiramatsu's death, right, was just like, oh my god, and then the subsequent revelation from Toranaga that was all a plan, essentially, right, that Hiramatsu had to die for the plan to be enacted, was just like, man, this guy just. And I think people get confused that, like, he was willing to throw Hiramatsu's life away. Nope. And that's not what it was. Like, he truly loved and valued Hiramatsu. It's just they were both so committed to this cause that they both kind of knew how it had to go. And you gotta, like, try to get inside the mind of Toranaga a little bit there. Like, the power that he exudes there to not completely
the power of not. It's an incredible example of, like, there's power in not acting too. Like, that's exactly, like, man, you know what it does too? It pays off that line from Yabushige as well, where he's like, can you bend the wind to your will? Like, I didn't have to lift a finger to exude how much power I have now. I have complete control over everything and every single person in here. And there must have been like, what he did for Blackthorn in stopping his seppuku attempt. I gotta imagine every fiber of his being wanted to do that for Hiramatsu. Yeah. But they both knew that he couldn't. And that's probably it's funny, like, saying this in lieu of, like, an earthquake that wiped out half of his forces, but, like, that moment where Hiramatsu is about to die might have been the most powerless Toranaga's ever felt. Because he knew what it represented, and he couldn't stop it because it would literally ruin everything. Right. And he's watching this man that literally watched him grow up. Yeah. Yep. Like, they plant that seed that, like, and it's also even to go further on that fact about this man that watched him grow up. Who else is also in that room but his half brother too? So this person that can bend the truth a bit, as siblings might do, versus, like, no, this is my true brother in here. Like, it's crazy that if his half brother would have died, he probably would have felt nothing, but he felt everything to watch. Like, again, like, I'm committed to, like, unfortunately, I'm committed to this now. Like,
yeah,
I'm full send committed onto this plan. Like, this is it.
Yeah, that's why episode 8 for me, just that scene is just so powerful. And then you get Toranaga at the end vowing to not waste the time, that not just, you know, it's to be determined how much he truly loved Nagakoto, but it can't be denied that he did buy Toranaga time, and he was maybe even more grateful for Nagakato in death than he was in life.
Yeah.
As sad as that is, but it's true. And in Toranaga's eyes, like, if you fulfill his purpose, like, that means something to him.
Yep.
So in the end, Nagakato might have been somewhat of a disappointment, but this last act of brashness actually turned the tide, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love episode 8. Favorite character?
Unseriously, Yabushige, like, obviously. I mean, I don't want to be the one to do it, but it's Blackthorn. I mean, it's performance-wise, it's arc-wise, like, it's real-world me understanding, like, we might be witnessing, like, another great actor being incepted right now.
I hope so.
I could just, I see him being, like, this iconic actor that can come to years to come. I can see a lot of studios be chomping at the bits to get a voice like that with them. Not only an actor like that, too. And then performance-wise, it's that subtlety. It's that adaptation to the world that he does. It's a simple arc, but it's an effective arc.
Not your god. Not my god. Just God. I think it's Mariko for me.
Yeah, it was tough not to pick her too.
Just that character just was brilliant. And her commitment, again, goes back to, like, the commitment piece with that character. Like, even though she had literally lost everything, she so believed in Toranaga's mission statement that she followed him to the ends of the little earth to see it fulfilled. And I think when he tells her in episode 7, when he tells her, "Are you ready to fulfill your purpose?" I think she knows what that means. Like, I don't think she ever thought she was getting out of Osaka.
Yeah, yep.
One way or the other. I just don't, whether it was a Shido, whether...
And it's a big piece of fate, too. Like, you know, what does her fate bring? And, you know, that's a big theme throughout the show is, like, I got this ideology of fate that kept coming back to me. Like, again... What an incredible line, and you know that I'm gonna actually replace that as my line of the show. Do you also bend the wind to your will? Like, is this fate, or is this divine fate, or is one man truly this powerful? Like, that he really bent the entire, you know, nation of Japan to his will by inaction, action within inaction, inaction within action. You know, and again. It's not the fact that he's bending the wind to his will. He's letting the wind be the wind. That's all he's doing. He's letting humans be humans. That's all he's doing. Yeah. He's letting human nature dictate what's going to come out of this.
Yeah, he says it to Mariko after Hiramatsu kills himself. He asked Mariko, like, Yabushige went to Blackthorn, didn't he? And Mariko's like, he did. Like, how could you know that? And he's like, they're both predictable. Like I knew that seeing my most loyal person kill himself would scare Yabushige into doing what he's about to do. And that's why I'm sending you with them, because I need you in Osaka, because you need to fulfill your purpose. Like, you are Crimson Sky. Like, he doesn't tell her that, but he tells Yabushige, like, what's the line where he says, I sent a woman to do what no army could do. Like, I sent a woman to Osaka to fulfill what no army could, or something to that effect. Like, he always knew. Like, Crimson Sky to his men was
this big
battle, bum rush, which nothing about Toranaga's character would lead you to believe he would ever execute a plan like that. Like, just a blind, blunt force, man against man,
too smart for that
blood fight. Like, his plan was always going to be manipulative, and it was. That's one of my favorite lines from the entire show is, I sent a woman to do what no army ever could. Like, that shows you. But my line of the show is why tell a dead man in the future? Like, that just says it all. And it tells you a lot about Toranaga's character. Where,
no
like,
trust. Even
no trust.
Grave, no trust.
No trust, and
My secret heart is the only heart that I have. I don't have this. I don't have any of the other two that everybody claims.
Toranaga's philosophy is truly, why would I waste my breath telling anyone anything if I have all the machinations and I truly understand people the way that I think I do? It's only gonna cloud whatever plan I have to fill someone in. Like, I just gotta have to let the chess pieces play themselves, and that's ultimately what he does, and it's outstanding. And then I'll just leave it with this: your favorite performance.
Man, it's tough not to go with Hiroyuki Sanada. It's incredibly tough not to. Man, I don't know if it's because of his voice, but I want to say Cosmo Jarvis so bad. But who played Mariko?
Anna Sawai.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go there. I mean, again, it's the complete command. And you know how difficult it is to probably play a character like that, where, you know, you're expecting some big bang, you're expecting some, you know, her to, you know, take away from her great. No, she never portrays it. She just supersedes it in moments. That's
even in death.
Even in death, she is calm as calm can be.
Yeah, she just faces it.
Please kill them.
Yeah, I mean, the only time she really has any type of outburst is in that moment where she falls to the ground and she screams and she's like, these men are too powerful. Like, we have to turn back. Man, I think I am going to say Sonata. Just because it's the culmination of, you know, almost 50 years in this industry for him. And this is the first time he's really got the spotlight in a Western. It's not a Western show. It's funny enough. It's really a Eastern-based show, but to a Western audience, and he finally gets this spotlight shown upon him for just the wizard that he is on screen. Much deserved, and I think, you know, as he enters kind of the later stages of his career. You know, he's 63, so he's definitely got...
Nah, look, 63, that's insane.
He's got probably 15, maybe 20 more years in this industry.
As long as he's healthy, 20 plus, man. I think he's gonna be somebody that the people are gonna go after for a lot of things. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, the next big thing that we know that's gonna be Japanese-based is gonna be the Ghost of Tsushima movie, and if there's somebody that should play
Lord Shimura. Yeah, there's parallels between Shimmer and Toranaga as well.
Yep.
I think that would be great. Chad Stahelski has already said that this movie is going to be in Japanese, so I think that absolutely lends itself to Sonata.
All I'm saying is you make him Shimura, and then you make the guy that played Jin Sakai, just have him play him in live action as well, too.
No, I think that's a great call, and Sonata is still a stuntman. Like, he still does. Man, he did all the choreography for Mortal Kombat as Scorpion. Like, so he's still very active.
60 years old.
He's still very active. I think that's a great call. I'm feeling like what Chad Stahelski wants to do with Ghost of Tsushima in terms of, like, paying homage and respecting the Japanese culture and wanting to do the movie in Japanese. I got to imagine Sonata's on his short list.
Yeah.
For something. I would have to imagine. So just shout out to Hiroyuki Sanada, like, much deserved after so many years in the industry, breaking through, becoming one of the most notable Japanese actors in the world. And just, this was his piece de resistance of his career so far.
Yep.
And I'm so happy for him, but just the whole show, the whole cast was stellar, the whole main cast. You know, like I said, Asano as Yabushige, Anna Sawai, Cosmo Jarvis, Sonata, and crew. And crew, just incredible. And this is it. This is the only season of the show we're ever going to get. And like I said up top, it's going to be, I think it should be spoken in the same length as Watchmen.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, you're holding in 8.8 on IMDb right now. It's one of the highest rated shows that there's ever been. And I mean, the reception that it was getting, like, you know, a show like this 9 times out of 10 does not get weekly reviewed by these YouTube reviews. This show was getting weekly reviewed by everybody. Everybody was like, oh no, we need to talk about this show week in, week out.
And it's not a mainstream IP. It's not a Marvel show or anything like that. It just was this show that was a miniseries that was picked up based on this book that was written in 1975, and just through the strength of that first episode, when people saw it, and they were like,
this is special.
We're in.
Yep.
And I was in the first episode. I binge watched the series across like 3 days probably. And I was in. And I didn't care about the language barrier. I didn't care about the subs, anything like that. I was just locked in for 10 hours of TV. And, you know, it's crazy that the restraint of just the crew to recognize, look, it's one and done. Like, as special as this might be, like, we have no more story to tell.
I love it. I love it, and I hope more shows start doing this. You don't need 3, 4. No, one season.
No, I mean movies are, unless there's sequels, like they're one-offs. You know, that's what a movie is, and that this is a 10-hour film essentially, that you can go back and watch anytime. Man. Super special show. And from one to the other, because next week we're going to talk X-Men finally.
Yeah.
We've been chomping at the bits every time we've watched these first 2 parts of Tolerance of Extinction. We're like,
yeah, you don't understand the restraint that we've had to exercise not to even mention these episodes, because episode 5, we couldn't not talk about episode 5 because we talked about 1 and 2, and then I think we talked about 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Just to talk about them, just to say, like, this show is stupid good.
It's got legs, yeah.
But then you get to, you get to episodes, like, episode 5, and then you get to episodes, 8 and 9, and you're like, no, this is, these people need to be in charge of something. That's how good this is. So, hopefully they get hired. Hopefully they get to stick around for a while.
Yeah. Every time after the episode ends, we're like, we gotta wait. We gotta wait. But next week we're finally unleashed. So Tolerance Extension will cover the whole 3-episode arc. We will cover the season on a whole, feature the X-Men, all that stuff. I cannot wait. That being said, you can follow us on Twitter at Project INF_pod. I almost forgot it. Project INF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram.
At the Project Infinite Pod. I did my job right.
You did.
Like Yabushime did all the time. Did his job.
Next week, X-Men 97. Can't wait. Tolerance Extension, full season review, all that good stuff. From me, from the Yabushige of the podcast. Yeah, man. Shogun. This will go on record as our longest episode ever. By far. 120 episodes in. This is our longest. Just a testament to the show, man. We had to do this in full, because you know what? We'll never get to again.
No.
Because the show will remain in the ether. Yeah. So we needed to get everything out.
Yeah. Just wait till our 5-hour episode when we talk about X-Men 97 next week.
Yeah, man. Shogun. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I actually, because there's so many times, and I don't want to go too long-winded, but there's so many times where someone will, or media will suggest a show, and I'll be like,
I'll get to
I might check it out. And then I never do. Looking at you, Jurassic World Dominion.
We'll talk about it.
But I'm so glad I managed to break through that and sit down and watch Shogun, because it was worth it. It was worth every bit of time, and everything that everyone said about it was completely justified.
Yeah. Any other shows you're looking forward to?
Coming up?
Coming up, or that are out that you want to check out?
I mean, House of the Dragon, obviously. Mm-hmm. Speaking of keeping the Game of Thrones comparison, House of the Dragon. I'm keen to check out Baby Reindeer. I've heard a lot of things about Baby Reindeer.
Yes. Is this my segue to talk about Baby Reindeer for 30 seconds?
What
What a show!
You've seen it? Okay, you watched it already.
I did watch the whole thing. I watched it in 1 day.
Okay.
And the show emotionally destroyed me and gave me a bit of hope. And, these are based off true events, apparently. So it's Richard Gadd, I believe his name is. This is something that actually happened to him. He was stalked by a woman who was already a criminal who already was charged with stalking that was thrown in jail, and he was trying to get his comedic and acting career off the ground. And the show deals with a lot of heavy subjects. It deals with one's sexuality and kind of the spectrum that it can live on. It deals with sexual assault to men, which is something that you truthfully don't see enough of, because many believe that's a thing that does not exist, when in all reality, too many men have had to go through that and had to be silent. Too many people have had to go through that and be silent about it. His performance is it's heartbreaking. He has a monologue that I will remember for the rest of my life. This monologue just absolutely destroyed me. But when the show is good, it's great. And when the show is funny, it's hilarious. When the show is somber, it's almost unbearable, but it's too good not to watch. It really broke me. That's the best way I can put it. The show broke me. And it's something that, with caution, everybody should check out. There is a lot of triggering things in here, but it's some things that just need to come to light as well too. So what a show, what a performance.
Huh. Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely keen to check it out. I've been hearing a lot of things, so it's definitely on my radar, and I would like to get it in before June, because June is going to be insane.
June is jam packed, and that's my next show that I cannot wait to check out. And we just finally got the first teaser for season 3, and that's The Bear.
Yes.
The Bear is my Sopranos. Like this is my show. This is the show that I will die on the hill that this is one of my top 3 favorite shows I've ever watched. The show, I don't know. Like this show is just like, it has such a piece of me. The Bear does, and Jeremy Allen White's work that he's doing with Carmen. I think when he's done with that character, that's going to be one of the most memorable characters in TV history. That's kind of the trajectory, in my opinion, he's on.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. We got The Bear, The Boys, House of the Dragon. June is going to be jam packed.
The Acolyte.
The Acolyte, yes. So we'll have to fit in. We'll have to figure out June. Well, more so July, because a lot of these shows, most of these shows are going to be
finished. Yeah,
are going to be season wraps.
We got movies coming up too. We got a bunch of movies coming out too. I mean, movie I'm particularly obviously I'm going to see. Hopefully tomorrow is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Wes Ball apparently has crafted this new iteration of the apes that are just it's familiar, but it's a lot of people are calling this movie borderline like transcended. Like this movie is just, it's absolutely incredible. The world is incredible, but the character work as well is great. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Man, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff coming up, man. A lot of good stuff. Can't wait for that. Can't wait to talk about X-Men next week. It's gonna be really, really great. So until then, we will see you next week, unless I win. All right, guys. See ya.
Peace.
There we go. Nailed it. Nailed it in one.